So I have had more Skype shenanigans today that I hate when I run across problems that even today with internet, the internet ability, the wealth of resources out there is no fucking answer for. Mm-hmm. I made a call to you earlier, Chris, and I had at the time like 3 different VLC videos up. I had like a couple Two Best Friends videos and a podcast I was listening to, all of which were paused. When I ended the call and clicked the hang up button on Skype, it unpaused all the videos at the same time.
Yes.
So blaring through my speakers comes all this. I'm like, what in the fuck? And with it all being garbled and loud at the same time, I didn't know what the fuck it was. Mm-hmm. And then I started cycling through my tabbed windows that were open. I was like, oh, that's okay. So all my videos just unpaused. So I went searching. Hey, here's a fucking thing. Skype just unpauses videos. And what I think I found is that as a convenience, Skype has a thing where if you're watching any kind of video on almost any format, on almost any media player, if somebody calls you over Skype, it pauses the video automatically and thereby unpauses when the call is ended. I said, okay, yeah, it's, okay, it's convenience. Yeah, okay, I get that. Nice. Can I turn this off? No, I cannot find a setting to turn this off.
I'm pretty sure I disabled that for me.
I went looking for it. I couldn't. If you find it, by all means.
Yeah, I'll take a look later. And by later, I mean tomorrow.
Yeah. So that was just...
So like 45 minutes from now.
Yeah.
After I go to sleep and wake back up.
Okay.
At 2 o'clock in the morning. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the end of time. I'm Michael.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Adam.
I guess I'll start. Well, actually, I want to start off with a little bit of actually.
Oh
boy.
It's not a whole lot. We're not too terribly horrible. It's just that last week I realized that during my week I had talked, or the week before, I talked briefly about The Last of Us, and I had taken some notes, and I didn't fucking read a single note. So, yay me. And I want to just run by them real quick. It's like a 20-minute session at all. It's like 5 minutes. I just wanted to go over some things that I noticed about The Last of Us. I think the realization that Adam hadn't played this game yet made me not really say anything at all, but I don't think too much of this is spoilery. And if it is, oh well, fuck you, Adam.
Damn! What a dick!
No, I think Chris can agree as well. As polished as this game is, this is kind of a maybe like a fifth the size or a fifth of the events of like Breath of the Wild. You're just gonna run across things that are just gonna either spark your interest or you're gonna say, "Wow, that's some really good polish." That's kind of what I saw with these notes. I noticed there was, so I was going from one area to another, and there is a particular type of, what were they called, Chris? The infected? I think they were
clickers.
Infected. Yeah, the clickers. And I noticed that the game tried to be slick. I was going from like a kind of a roadside area to a forest area, which meant I was going into like a forest area with animals and whatnot. And the game tried to disguise the clicker sound with like crickets chirping. And it almost sounded like it. Like it went from crickets chirping to you heard a clicker noise to crickets again. And I was like, no, I caught that. So I went all stealth mode and snuck up, and I was like, and I seen it through the vision. I was like, that's pretty fucking good, game. That's a really good way, because I imagine that fucked some people over. There were times where I noticed that as Joel was running alongside of a wall or sneaking, like crouch walking alongside of a wall, every now and again, randomly, he would just put his hand out to like balance on the wall. Just a little detail, a little touch detail like that I noticed. It was very nice. idle poses. There are a bunch of idle things. I won't go over one of them because it's a pretty big spoiler. I would say it has a lot of it's incorporated into the game itself, but Ellie does something throughout the story if you do one idle pose. But one of them, I was just standing there and I was actually going to get a drink, and right when I sat down, she said, "You're just gonna, stand there?" I was like, "Excuse me." So I had to keep moving.
Just did do like Sonic CD and jump off the fucking screen.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like, yeah, fuck you.
Had some brutal kills in this game, too. There were almost some set pieces like Splinter Cell Conviction, which is a great fucking game for having set piece deaths and torture scenes and whatnot. But I was in this building and there was a bunch of like tabletops and boxes and shelves and countertops and all that. And I had beat the fuck out of one infected. Oh no, it was a human actually. It was a soldier. And Joel grabbed him by the back of his head and smashed his head down onto the corner of a table, and the blood splattered across the corner. Like, you fucked that guy up. And I don't know if that was intentional or if it just really happened to be like, maybe he was aiming for the floor and just because I caught the corner of the table, the blood just spattered that way. But it looked and sounded pretty fucking brutal. There was a time where I was going in the area that had tripwires set up, and I can't remember if it was her or I'm trying to think. I think Joel said it. I think Joel had noticed there were tripwires along the way with explosions tied onto them. And he was like, you see that line? You just duck down, keep your head below that line, and you'll be fine. Ellie just walks forward and blows the fucking thing up and keeps walking. Ellie is invincible. Ellie is fucking invincible in this game. Number one, she took care of the trap for me, but basically it was a glitch. I would say it was a glitch.
It was a bug, yeah.
She don't fucking care about traps. He was like, all you do, look, just duck down like me and walk forward. She's like, okay, walk, boom. Just kept walking.
Yeah, normally she will duck down.
Yeah. Lots of teamwork in this game. This is what I brought up last episode about the episode I talked about this, having so many God of War vibes, because she helps out. She helps out a lot. And there's a lot of teamwork in this game between you and her. One time I saw her randomly stop and tie her shoe again. Just a little fucking, I noticed that. Hey, cool on you detail. Fun, very interesting and touching and cool world building moment for this girl. Ellie did not know about ice cream trucks. She didn't know what the fucking ice cream truck was. And then when you look back at the timeline, you look at how old she is, look when all this shit happened, it makes sense. She was basically a baby when this shit happened. So the whole concept of an ice cream truck running around a neighborhood, hell, the concept of a neighborhood to her was almost unknown. So when she walks by an ice cream truck, she's like, what is that? And he's like, it's an ice cream truck. And she's like, I don't know, what is that? And he's like, oh yeah. Well, of course you don't know what it is.
The old men used to use these to creep on little kids.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Last but not least, this is something I didn't realize till later. I guess this is something that happens randomly, and either I just coincidentally didn't have to do it, or I don't know what, but this was like the last quarter of the game the first time this happened for me. You have a flashlight, and it's a very realistic flashlight, by the way. The distance on the beam, the way that has that little fucking circle in the middle that everybody knows about, that's always there because of the bulb, blah, blah, blah. The flashlight is kind of rickety. So every now and again, it will start to flicker. And what do you do if you naturally have a flashlight and it flickers? You fucking smack it, and it will make the connection a little bit better. If you smack your fucking controller, it does the same thing. It even makes a sound effect, the sound effect of you smacking a flashlight, and it'll start working again. Again, a little fucking random weird detail that was just put into a game that, yeah, man, it was
just
nice.
Reeks of massive amounts of polish.
Yes. With all that being said, again, I cannot wait for the second one, man. The combat alone in that trailer made me want to go ahead and play that game, period. But now that I've played the first one, man, and I'm telling you, Chris, you know this as well. I know we already said this, but it bears mentioning again. The last bit of that game is going to leave. So it's a fucking gut punch from hell, but it also leaves a large amount of questions that trailer did not answer at all. Neither one of those trailers did. So I can't wait to get in that game and be like, oh, here's that thing, or oh, here's these people, or oh, there's that place, you know?
Yep. It's rough because of how good that game was. You know, a lot of people have been nervous about the sequel. You know, is it going to do it justice? And it looks like it will.
I actually had somebody at my work yesterday tell me the rumor had got around or not rumor, but word got around my own workplace that I had a podcast, and we were talking about it, blah blah blah, and it got out that I had been playing Last of Us. I didn't realize how many of my employees and fellow coworkers had played this game, and one of them approached me. He's like, which version did you get, man? I was like, I got the remastered version. He goes, let me tell you, man, I still play the PS3 version to this day. I was like, yeah, because it's still that good. You know, the remastered is just a polished version, true enough, but it's still a PlayStation 3 game. You know, it's still good. It's still got its time. So that's really all I had for the well. Actually, I felt kind of bad that I took all those notes and didn't mention them, so I'm going to go ahead and get that out of the way. I guess as well, unless either one of you got well actuallys. I don't think so, because we typically produce perfection around here. I guess I can roll into my weeks, or my week. It's only been one this time, thankfully.
Barely.
Yeah. Right. So I've still been trudging through. I say that let me just redact that completely. I've still been plowing through my Steam library. I've still been going through my Explorer, finding new games. I will totally admit most of this experience has kind of died down because most of the hey, I'm a Steam brain that knows what you want to play, and I am feeding you like 9 of these at a time has whittled down to about 1 every 12. And even most of those, like, one will go to my wish list, one will be cheap enough for me to buy. So that's, my buying has really tapered down. It's almost like I'm only spending like maybe $5 or $10 at the most. But I've pretty much built out what I want. For those that are listening right now, as of this recording, when it gets released, you've probably only got about a day, maybe even hours left before the Steam sale ends. I think it ends June 5th this year. So if you haven't, get out there and July 5th. Yeah, sorry. If you haven't, get out there and get your Steam sale on. It's still going. I've been going down the list. Again, I don't want to go over every single game, but I have been slowly creeping down the list and at least trying all the games that I bought. Just to get general feels. There are big points that I'm looking for before it comes to I don't like this game / I want a refund status. More on that in a second. But 2 of the main things are does this thing offer any way either does it offer windowed support or not, or is it always full screen? Does it have a workaround? But most important, does this thing offer full controller support? Luckily, this is something I didn't realize again till later after researching, is that most of that stuff is tailored out in the actual Steam Games page. Usually it'll have a section to tell you this has moderate controller support, full support. Some of them even have a list of supported controllers, period. I'm using an Xbox One wireless controller, so that is a prime important thing for me. Usually when I've been noticing the games that have 360 support also support Xbox One, but even that's been kind of hit or miss. I've tested like 20, 25, 30 something games by now. Again, I don't have time to go over every one of them. I'm going to go over more in detail when I actually break down and play those games. The 2 that I worked on recently, last episode I mentioned I was working on basically an 8-bit version of a game that's already out called Ghost. From what I saw from the trailer of that game, that's basically like a Metroidvania style platformer. The graphics the style of the character itself was kind of meh for me, and given the price, I didn't even put it on my wish list yet. But the game that I did buy and play is called Mini Ghost. It's basically like a NES mini, like toned down version of that game, which is even crazy to think. Here is a Steam game that has a mini meta 8-bit game. It's crazy. But I did play through that. I did beat it, had fun, cool beans. Worked my way down the list to Omega Strike, which is... This is also a platformer Metroidvania game. I've been in a really really big Metroidvania kick lately. Which I mean, hey, that's RPG and Metroidvania. That's two of my go-tos right there. Mm-hmm. And this game is part Contra, part Metroidvania, part Metal Slug. That's the best way I can put it. It's got a pretty well fleshed out map. It has a weapon upgrading system. There are 3 individual characters, and they all have their own unique sets, or they all have their own unique abilities. You have the one guy, the first character, who is a machine gun toting. He can, as he upgrades his abilities, he can do certain things like rolling and grabbing onto rails to climb across pits and whatnot. The second guy is the big bully kind of guy. He's got a grenade launcher that arcs grenades and shoots grenades in an arc instead of straight forward. He can also push big blocks out of the way for accessibility. The third guy has a shotgun, so massive damage but short range, and he gets the ability to dash over pits later in the game. I think I put a total of 8 point something, 9 hours total to beat this game, and that was not really blasting through it. I did kind of go back a few times and go grab some more items and whatnot, but I mean, I'm guessing I paid like $2 for this game and I got 10 hours of gameplay out of it. Cool. Good for me. Had fun with it. Moved on with life. I think I got like 98% of that game too, so not incredibly hard, by the way. Neither is Mini Ghost. That's something else about these games. They're not like, if you're not in the mood for an incredibly hard game, those two were not. I just kind of went through them. Kept going down the list, trying out games. The game that I have kind of settled on right now is Tales in Symphonia, which
nice.
The first time that I played this game was probably a decade ago, or maybe a little less. I can't fucking remember. But the reason why I turned this game down, I bought this game for the GameCube and turned it back in, and I remember not liking it because it was Japanese anime looking, but I did not like the voice acting. I could not get over the voice acting, and I bet money right now if I go buy that game again on the GameCube and pop it in, there's a fucking option to turn Japanese language on. I either didn't do it or the voice acting pissed me off that much and I just took it out. I have no excuse for why I didn't play it back in the day. But as we were preparing to record tonight, the last 2 hours I've been playing that. I haven't made it anywhere at all. I've been doing a lot of little story extra things, doing a little bit of battling before I get to the main story, trying out settings and whatnot. I like the look of this game, and I definitely like the sound of it now that I've changed the voice to Japanese dialogue. Whew, thank God.
Nice.
The combat, man, I like it because it's a 3D mix of what we talked about before with Tales of Destiny, because it's a Tales game. So it's sort of got that side-scrolling combat, but it's set in a 3D environment, so you can transition between enemies around the field. Really made me think of Grandia as well, which is all the way up my alley. So we'll see. We'll see if the story keeps gripping me. We'll see if the gameplay and all that keeps me going. If not, good God, I've got a shit ton of more games on Steam to go through. I have added some more to my refund list. I've refunded about 4 games, or put in to get 4 games refunded. I think we actually have a topic on game refunds in the future, so this kind of a little bit before that, but nothing huge, nothing horrible. I think, Chris, you said what? I bought like 97 games? I don't fucking know. I bought a shit ton of games.
63, I think.
Something like that, yeah. I have only put 1 for a refund because I literally did not like it. It's one of those games that the trailer got me really good, but the gameplay it just didn't feel right. It's not what I wanted, and I can't remember because it's already refunded and it's out of my list. I'd have to go look it up. I'm so sorry, folks. This may not be a game for me, but it may be for other people. It was a first-person kind of world parkour type of game. Think Mirror's Edge, but more of a robot look to it. The gameplay just didn't appeal to me. The other 3 games were literally control issues. It was just they did not have Xbox. They didn't have controller support, period. Which, again, I should have known that beforehand. I know now, so I know to look for that. But I didn't, and I bought those just fucking throwing shit in my cart, just buying shit and buying shit. And I do know as well, I mean, there's just because something says no controller support at this day and age really doesn't mean anything. Mm-hmm. You can make anything work on anything on the computer. I know there's X input and gamepad and you name it. There's ways to make it work.
Even Steam has options to map controller buttons to keys on a keyboard.
Right. So it's more of a matter of I just didn't want to deal with it. If I spend too much time trying to figure out if it has it and then what patch I need to do to get all that, I just sent them back. The two sad tales of that is Sonic, I think Sonic the Hedgehog 4 episode 1 and 2, no controller support, and that really upset me.
What? Sonic didn't have controller support?
Yeah, which
fucking
sucks. Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic CD, Sonic Generations, and even Sonic Mania, all of those have controller support.
Well, it just makes fucking sense.
Yeah, Hedgehog 1 and 2 did not. And again, when I spend more than 20, 25 minutes looking for something somewhere around it, it's like, yeah, just get X-Pad or what. I'm like, no, I'm done. So, but again, given all the games that I have, again, I still have like 30-something games I haven't even tried yet. I'm working my way down the list and just trying games. And I'm still overwhelmingly happy with everything that's been going on recently. I'm sure that will fade. My library will slowly come to a halt or games will not be that great or whatever, but I'm enjoying the like $50 I've spent with all the games I've got out of this nonsense. Haven't really been watching any movies lately. Nothing really else been going on. Most of those games have taken up most of my time. Aside from, again, trying games for like maybe 10 minutes a pop just to make sure they work, just to see if I like them, just to see what they are. Aside from that one, everything else has been either, that's okay, to, wow, that's good, to, oh man, what did I spend on this? $3? Oh shit, this was a deal. So, good times for me. Adam, what you been up to this week?
Oh man, I got a lot of different things I've been doing. Gave in and bought that Our Guest game that I was telling you about last week.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like if you took Final Fantasy Tactics and put it in a visual novel style, but it has Suikoden type Unite attacks.
Ooh.
So it's really, really weird. It's kind of I'm not quite sure where I put it yet. I mean, I've gotten a couple of hours in, and so far it looks pretty good. It's just, right now I'm still in that, like, looking at amazement down at the complete battle system and not exactly knowing what the fuck everything does.
What is it called again?
Our Guest, Generations of War.
Gotcha.
It's got 3 games in the series, and I'm looking forward to it. It's just, wow,
Mm-hmm.
So right now I'm trying to figure out how everything works and what I should be statting out and what I shouldn't be, and oh yeah. But so far the story hasn't been bad. Story has kind of started off like every other kind of, I guess, spoilers for the first 2 hours if you're really interested in it. So far I realized I was in an army unit. We were invading some country, and then I immediately defected to try to save this elf girl, and then we went and met her grandpa, and now we're leaving. And that was probably about 6 battles in. So, more to come on this game. Still gotta, like I said, I still haven't completely mastered the battle system yet. It's just, I've been going back and forth, kind of playing around with different options and stuff like that. It's got a lot of, it's kind of like got that Xenogears feel to it when, you pull off a move and it's, the world kind of fades away and you just watch your character beat the living crap out of an enemy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like he hits him like 16 times, knocks him up into the air, and then body slams him. Yeah. It's got that kind of a feel. And
What's that? Is this a Steam game?
Yeah. It's a Steam game. You can get the entire series for $15.
And it's called Our Guest.
Argest. Argest or something like that.
Oh, because I'm literally looking up Our Guest.
Our Guest.
no wonder I'm getting nothing but Beauty and the Beast references across Google.
Be our guest. Be our guest. Yeah. And speaking of Xenogears, guess what I started playing again?
World of Warcraft.
That's right, World of Warcraft. Not yet. Not yet. But I did start it.
Keep pushing that button because I know it's coming.
Oh, it's coming. It's coming. I'm sitting there like, man, I keep trying to find other games. Like, I'm going to just jam this Our Guest into my veins instead of WoW and see how that does. Oh, it's kind of okay, but it's not doing it.
And see, that puts you, and this happens to all three. It happens to everybody. I know it does. It puts you in such a weird moment because you've got this game that, especially with a game like World of Warcraft, something you've already put countless hours into, and at a barest minimum, you're going to enjoy it. It's there in the back of your head. So as you're playing anything else kind of has a stature to live up to. You don't realize it, but subconsciously your brain's going, you better fucking grab me and hold me, because if I start waning, World of Warcraft's going to be like, hey, buddy, why don't you come?
The thing is that you know that fucking any MMO is just an abusive relationship.
Yes.
Because it's going to straight up be like, yeah, I don't like you seeing other games.
Yeah.
You just stay your ass at home and wash the dishes because you got fucking levels to grind and shit, boy.
I feel that that's not just for World of Warcraft either, or any MMO. That's period. Like, if you just have whatever your situation is, and you have like these 2 or 3 games in your backlog that are there, and you're like, I got to get to, I don't know, fucking Persona 5. I've got to get to that game. And you're like, all right, I'm not ready for a 300-hour RPG just yet. Let me go try this like 20-hour Steam game. And 2 hours in, you're like, all right, it's okay. It's okay. And you're like, fuck it. Come on, Persona. Let's go. And the other game's like, wait.
Mm-hmm. The thing is that with any MMO,
I'm not a 5 out of 5.
With any MMO, it's going to be like, yeah, guess what? I don't stop.
Yep.
I got updated. Yep. You thought you were done? You were almost done. Welcome to this expansion. God, man. So, right now I've got this entire series of games that I'm trying to see if I can get into. Just started Xenogears, which I know I'll get into.
Oh yeah. And
my God, I started a new anime. I just finished one anime, just started a new one.
Oh yeah.
I'm just anything to keep my mind away from Blizzard.
You're fighting his battle. I know you are.
I'm like, yep, nope, no. So,
because once you tip, once Kratos puts that second foot over the ledge, falls over, you're done.
There's gonna be that second where I go, all right, what's going on with the WoW expansion right now? And my hand just idly goes for my wallet. I'm like, no, stop, don't confirm the purchase.
Every game after that me and Chris try to put to you, it's like,
I'm done.
I'll play it someday.
So what are you doing this week, Adam? I was playing WoW, you dope shit. What the fuck do you think I was doing?
Exactly what you mean. Oh,
Isn't that what happened with Witcher?
Yep.
I think so, yeah.
Witcher is, oh man, it's so good. So good.
Yeah, Chris is supposed to be playing Witcher 3 at some point.
I mean, I started it, but
yeah.
Man, let me tell you, y'all. I'll let our podcast listeners in on a little secret. I was trying to teach old Mike here about Witcher, right? And okay, I was trying to, and he came up to me at work and he's like, "Man," You know, I didn't like the first game, but I tried the third game. It was really good. It's really good. I mean, you know, I have some issues with it, but it's really good so far. And I was like, well, what's your issue, man? It's like, I can't find any healing items. It's like, you could only just like drink water and stuff. And I was like, this is why like, I wish they had like a better tutorial system.
Yes.
But at the same time, they're like, this is a third game. You're supposed to know this shit by now.
Yeah.
So they just kind of took it for granted that everybody knew that you had to like make the potions and then use the potions in battle. Mm-hmm. He had been hawking down water to regen himself. Yeah. I can't. I mean, I have this mental picture of you standing there for like 30 minutes drinking water after like every encounter. It's like, man, you know this game's really good.
So, to be fair, I'm a hoarder, so I don't want to use my potions. I want to save them for when I really need them. So I absolutely do that. I'll sit there and drink water and eat whatever food I have the most of. I'll use some of that
they
instead
stack,
of dipping
right?
into my what?
They stack.
Yeah, I know, but just so I don't run out of something in particular.
You can eat some food and take your potion, and you'll regen just a little bit faster.
Yeah,
that's something else that I didn't learn until later.
The potions take more effort.
If you're selling if you're selling the equipment and stuff that you're finding, like the swords and stuff like that, then you'll probably have enough money to buy enough alcohol to keep yourself well into the potions. If you're like me and you just pick every flower you come across, you'll have enough base alcohol to craft potions for days.
I don't want to totally encroach on your week, Adam, but I was just thinking today of another time that something like this happened. This is not something new for me. If every gamer in life that are listening to us right now, and including you two, just goes through every game and you just learn shit automatically and you never have surprises, cool. Mm-hmm. That's cool. But this is not the first time this has happened to me. It's happened on many, many occasions, but another time that it was gravely fucking important and a huge deal, literally a game changer for me, that took a game that was at the time like a 2 or a 3 because I was buying into the negative hype to a fucking 11 out of 10 was Dark Souls. The first time that I was in the Undead Burg, I believe it was the Undead Burg, and I was the first up until this point, I had been like hounded by 1 to 3 enemies at the same time and was doing okay. I was doing okay handling myself with the combat. And this is on a quote unquote correct first path, by the way. So I was going where I was supposed to go. I get one enemy, I take them down. I get 1 to 2 enemies, 2 to 3, take them all down. I get to a bonfire and backtrack and come across these 2 skeletons that have spears. I believe they both have spears, or maybe one was a spear and one was a sword. And they had shields. That was the important part. And I'm talking hours. I was getting so fucking pissed off at the game and at myself because I could not. I'm at the beginning of this fucking game and I can't kill 2 skeletons in what is obviously the beginning fucking area of this game. This cannot be this hard. I'm not this bad at fucking games. I went back to these 2 for like 30 or 40 times. I would try rolling around one and stabbing that one in the back, and the other one would fucking shank me through the neck. Or I'd get hounded, but they would do the thing where they would fucking rapidly attack you like 9 different times in a row, and I'd just die. And I just kept dying over and over and over. I cannot tell. I would break boxes and go down the stairs and try to lure them down one by one. That wasn't working. Like every stupid thing that I was trying was not working on these 2 basic bare bitch enemies of the game. And then somehow I would like to be poetic about it and think that it was me being a little fucking spoiled, whiny kid and just throwing a tantrum and just going, yeah, just hitting all the buttons at one time. But I kicked one of the skeletons. I kicked him. And he went, whoa! And his fucking shield flew backwards and his poise got knocked off. And I was like...
And he stood there wide open.
My God in fucking heaven. And then I fucking dominated. And then every other shield enemy from that point on. And then I realized, I think I can't remember. I think Adam, I think you brought it up when I told you about this. You were like, man, they teach you that at the beginning of the game. They literally tell you that move as well as like the 12 other basic moves you need to know within the first minute of the game. I was like, shit, this game is so good. Oh, I love it.
I remember the conversation to get you to try the damn game. Oh, you're like, man. Yeah, no, man, this sounds like garbage. And I was like, oh, it's not that bad. Because I hadn't played Dark Souls. I had played Demon Souls, the very first one. And I was like, yeah, it's kind of like, you walk into a room and you get fucking stabbed in the eye. And so then you go play it again. And instead of getting stabbed in the eye, this time you duck left and you step on a landmine. So next time you dodge to the left, but avoid the landmine, do a roll to avoid the arrows, So
you were fighting a rough battle because I was completely buying into this is artificial difficulty, the game. I would see 10,000 people screaming this game is engineered so good and the gameplay is so good. And I saw another 10,000 people saying this game is fucking stupid. All it is you die and and it's guess and check and let's try this stupid shit out. And then I went and played it and was like, y'all are fucking retarded.
There's a method to it.
This is a master class of combat.
Yep. I will never be able to sum it up more eloquently than this. In Demon Souls, they had a glaring flaw with the magic system that they rectified later on in Dark Souls and throughout the series. In Demon Souls, it wasn't much easier for mages, but it was a lot easier in some ways. You don't have to get close to somebody if you pick a mage. You know what I mean? Yeah. You don't have to learn how to juke and jive and avoid, you're rolling really slow, you're doing a fat roll everywhere, and you're trying to stay up in people's faces because that's the only way you can do damage. My friend made a mage, got to a party he got stuck on, and oh man. Every time he'd come in there, I'd just be like, hey, you just back up and hit him with the fireball or whatever it is. This is my solution to everything if I've got it, So, I remember one time he got invaded. And it was like 2 or 3 of those little red guys came out. And he managed to like avoid them at in just enough fashion to be like, okay, I'm gonna give the controller to Adam, see if he can handle these guys, because he knew what was going on. He knew I would be able to dodge them and all this kind of stuff. The first guy came running up, and this is like big. He's got like end of the game gear on. He's got the big mirror shield you get off that one boss that does like stops like 60% of. I want to say there were 2 types of damage. There's fire and there's arcane. I can't remember which one it negated, but I intentionally chose the opposite one.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, yep, all right. Let me swap my gear real quick. And I got this wand that like doubled your magic power. And I got this other thing that like halved your mana, but it added all the mana it took in to your magic power, which then got doubled. And I proceeded to like hit him and like nearly one-shot him. At which point, that was like straight through his shield. He put his shield up and then he realized that he had done fucked up. It was like, this was a situation where you should have dodged, buddy.
Yep.
And, so the other one comes up and I do like this little side step over to the left as he does like the running charge attack, but he doesn't realize that I'm like the only mage in the game that knows how to dodge. So I do like this little side step. I'm like, oh, nope. And buck him right in the back with my shotgun wand of doom. It was just like, boom. And I imagine him, he stumbles forward dead. At which point the other one begins to just immediately like in complete like runaway mode.
It's totally like that fucking meme that you see from I think it's JoJo, where so the guy runs up to Adam and Adam just fucking dips around him and he goes, "Nani?" Boom.
It's like one of those little spots on the anime where the guy like teleports behind him and he's like, "Hey buddy, how's it going?" Dead.
I'm so sorry to take over your week like that, Adam.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah. Other than the beginning of Xenogears, I mean, I ground out initial village all the way, and I'm in the woods now.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't met Citan yet for the second time, but
Xenogears did come across my mind this week, and it's. I know you're gonna say no. It's gonna be interesting to hear what Chris says, but I was because I think I'm slowly getting back into another RPG mode. Maybe this Tales of Symphonia game will grab me, but I was thinking about playing Xenogears again since I really haven't played that game in like 10, 15 years. But I was also thinking about, I don't know why I've got this on my head. I really don't know. Maybe it's to finally settle in my head and maybe take notes and put on paper real reasons why I don't like it. Because again, I haven't played this game since I was in high school. I don't think I played it again in my 20s and in my 30s.
Damn.
I was thinking about working through Final Fantasy VIII. I was thinking about
God, you should just fling that shit right the hell on out.
Because
just take that trash and get it. You're like, should I eat this like cheesecake or this pile of dog shit? I'm torn.
I'm gonna put this on record now. That way, whether I do or don't, I can at least get this part off of my chest. I have played through Final Fantasy VIII twice in my life. I know through high school I played Final Fantasy VIII twice. I don't think it was back to back, but I do remember playing through it twice. Now 7 I played through like 8, 9 times. I don't fucking know. A couple of those were just for fucking like playing 100% in master material and all that. But 8 only played twice. And I feel like I have, not only to follow what you say, but I feel like I have joined the bandwagon of people that say that Final Fantasy VIII is bad. But when you, Adam, or you, Chris, or anybody else confronts me and says, okay, then tell me why it's bad, I go, I mean, the story I didn't understand. Well, play through it again. Maybe you will. Okay, well, I also didn't like the way that you gain magic in the game. Okay, well, that's one fucking thing. Like,
that's a pretty big thing.
It is. If you don't like the battle system, it's kind of a hard hill to get over.
No. I don't know if I don't remember if I don't like the battle system. I know that I don't like
the draw system.
The draw system, exactly. Yeah.
Not the junction, the draw.
Not the junction, the draw. Yeah, but I didn't like the thing of having to go around the world and siphon magic and you can use it. But those two reasons can't be enough. I mean, for God's sakes, I didn't understand the Final Fantasy Tactics story.
You can't even use items until you junction it through a Guardian Force, I believe.
Maybe. I don't remember.
Yeah, that was one thing that pissed me off about it. One reason that it kind of irritated me is because you had to level everything up, because at the very beginning of the game you could only attack. That was literally the only option you had.
Mm-hmm.
Attack. You couldn't use items, defend, anything else. It was kind of a staple of any other RPG system. So it was more invasive than other RPG systems, because it didn't even, if there's no other option than to attack if you don't do your shit right.
Now, I'm looking at this release date of February 11th, 1999. I can't even see. I'm trying to find out if that's USA or not. This might have been a dual release.
I want to say it came out in 98, but
development began in 97. Yeah, I don't, it's like, it just shows 1999 as a release date. So I'm guessing it was a dual release. That we were approaching that time where games are coming out simultaneously. But either way, if I'm looking at that date, I know for a fact I didn't have that game on release. But 2 to 3, 4 months afterward, I can see that. So sometime between February 11th, 1999 and fucking May of 2000, I ran through that game twice. However, even that being said, that's still approaching fucking 2 decades ago. So I don't remember, and I just don't feel like me saying I didn't understand the story is a good enough reason. There are lots of games that had Xenogears is a prime fucking example. Granted, I've had to have Adam explain it to me like 62 times, and I still only feel like I have a cursory understanding of that game, but that's not good enough. I feel like I think I need to give Final Fantasy VIII and 9 another go around in this age and put it on podcast form as well. Spend about 15-20 minutes. Okay, guys, this is why. Because right now all I can go on is, I don't know, I played it 2 decades ago, I just didn't like it.
I could tell I have some personal reasons for not liking it.
Oh, I know.
I got called a liar after I beat the game at level 13. Now everybody's like, it's a personal thing to get as low of a level as you can. I beat that game at level 13 on my first playthrough. You know why? Because I didn't like the combat, so I ran away from every random encounter I could.
And see, even with 8, 9 for me is the same way. Like I was always middle ground about 9. I know you didn't care for it. Chris, I don't remember. Have you played through 9? Do you like it?
I played through 9 but didn't beat it. I got to the final boss, got my ass kicked, and did not feel like grinding.
I got one less step than you. I got to the save right before the final boss and just said, fuck it. And never picked up the game again.
The main memory that I have about 9 is one, the Alexander scene where the castle grows wings. That's fucking wallpaper material. And 2, even back then, Kuja's castle theme has the violin and the piano. I love that fucking track. I mean, I remember the character Zidane, I remember Quina, and I remember the Steiner and the characters, but most of the story I have forgotten and don't remember. But as a whole, I cannot with a straight face say I don't like Final Fantasy IX. I don't remember enough of it to give it a fair shake. 9 was always middle ground for me. I think if anything, 9 developed into a disappointment for me because I was promised, I think we were all promised, that with Final Fantasy IX, that was supposed to be a call back to classic Final Fantasy. That was a draw that I remember, either reading it in magazines or even just looking at the artwork and the gameplay or the screenshots. Oh, okay, they're going back to classic Final Fantasy. They're going back to the old school visuals and the fantasy theme. And then when I played through it, it's like, I mean, yeah, it's kind of fantasy-y, but not good enough. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm ever going to do that or when I'm going to do it, but I just figured at least I could put it on the podcast. I'm seriously debating going through 8 and 9 again. And if anything, just fucking going through them completely and drawing out actual reasons why I, a Final Fantasy fan or once Final Fantasy fan, do not like those games.
I would say Suikoden 3 deserves some replay more than fucking Final Fantasy 8 does.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I'm taking it there. Taking it there, man. You didn't even completely finish it.
Yeah, but if I can blow through that much of Suikoden 3 and not remember a damn thing about it,
yeah, that means you need to play it again because you weren't absorbing
Suikoden 1 and 2 are the Metal Gear Solid of the Suikoden franchise. Stick with those two and you need nothing else.
Until you realize that at one point Luke was the first and final boss of the series.
Spoiler.
Yeah, that's right. Super spoilers.
Chris,
yeah.
How now that I have taken fucking 4 hours of his week away, how
y'all don't even get to finish my week. You bastard.
I'm sorry. I thought you were done. I'm sorry.
That's
what you get. Spoiler. That's what you get.
It's like, let me take all your time and then move to Chris.
I bet you think Clive is a cool character too, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, he is actually.
Oh man. So anyway, I've been going back through Xenogears. I made sure to grind out the first 2 death blows for every single character. Yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna stop right there. We'll just derail it right there.
It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see if you try to pay attention as you're playing through this again and see if there's anything new you discover about this game. Because I feel like of the 3 of us, and maybe even anybody in a 200-mile radius, you have a solid grasp of the plot and story in that game. It'll be interesting to see now that you've played. When is the last time you played Xenogears? Like last week?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was actually a couple hours ago.
Oh God.
Let's see. Before that, I ran back through it on the PS3.
Mm-hmm.
Right when it came out for the PS3. So if you can figure out when it Actually, I don't think it came out for the PS3. I'm pretty sure I just used my disc.
Maybe you got it on PSN. Maybe you got it on the network.
I was thinking that I got it on PSN, but I have the physical disc.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not sure if it ever did come out on PSN. But it was around that time.
It says it was re-released on the PS1 in 2011, so maybe then.
Yeah, maybe sometime around then. So it's been a couple of years.
Either way, it'd be nice to hear anything like, "Oh man, I didn't know this about the story," or "I didn't know this mechanic," or "I didn't."
Right now, I'm getting a whole lot of, "Oh yeah, I remember that shit." Okay, yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Like I forgot like the little part where you jump down the well in the very beginning. You jump down the well, and he's like, "Oh god," and he's like stuck down there for a minute until you find out he can jump out. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. It's already been awesome. I got to that first cutscene and I was like, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that necklace starts swinging.
Yep. And I'm already lost.
What the shit?
Or I'm filled with questions.
Yeah.
Are you seriously done? Like,
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
want to cut your week off.
You can go on, man. Yeah, the other part was just finally saw the last episode of the 3rd season of Tokyo Ghoul, which was pretty cool.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That came out, or it got translated here recently, and then gonna start a new one I think here soon. I'm not sure what to think of it. It's gonna be pretty cool. I forget the name of it, but I found it just a couple of hours ago. I was like, yep, okay, that's the one I'm gonna play. So it's sitting on my TV right now, ready to go as soon as we're done here.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be my new thing for the next 24 episodes, I suppose.
Yeah. Chris, how's your week been?
So, before I get into games and stuff, I wish people would stop causing me to have to reset my passwords on gaming
you ain't
stuff.
Lying. Jesus.
Damn.
Origin contacted me 6 times yesterday while I was asleep. Hey, you should. Like, I don't even fucking use Origin, dick.
Yeah.
Somebody did.
Yeah, for me it was Uplay. It's like, oh hey, we reset your password, and I even have no, you know what? Yeah, it was Uplay. I even have 2-factor authentication on, so nobody's getting in it anyway. But they're like, hey, we reset your password, so you need to go in and change it. I'm like, okay, I'll do that. Because I hadn't done it in a while. I got the email like a week ago, and I was like, I'll do it when I need the account. And I was cleaning up emails. I was like, all right, I should go do this so I can archive the email and be done with it. So I did that. Within like 6 hours, I got another notification.
Fuck.
Jesus.
I'm like,
do they
okay.
not have like an authenticator or something like that?
I do. That's why they're resetting it, because people are failing to get in.
Wow.
They just keep trying over and over. So I don't know. I have the email in my mailbox, so when I need Uplay, I'll go reset it again. Oh no, I know why I reset it. I finally reset it because I was signing up for all the betas they have. You can sign up for the closed betas, and that I was on there for that when all this crap started happening, and it got locked again. And then I got my Rockstar account for GTA 5. Someone logged into that, reset the email on it, and so I had to go in. I woke up and I had the email from Rockstar going, hey, the email address on your account was changed. And I was like, I didn't do that. They have a link in there. You click it and it recovers it for you, and you reset your password. I'm like, okay, I'm good. But man, this is ridiculous. I'm not gaming related, but my eBay account's like that. I reactivated it long enough to buy some games on it, and then within like 48 hours, I got the email going, hey, we know suspicious activity, with your account. I was like, okay, good for you. I'll reset it when I need it again, like I did last time. Because
pretty sure your employer is selling your information to, like, the Russians or something.
So,
yes, there was. It kept telling me Russian. It was like your shit was logged in from an location here, Russia. Every time was Russia.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I actually had the email. I think I
first stage of the invasion.
But it was a ridiculous email address they changed it to. It had a little bit of irony to it. It was like safe and secure or something like that. You know, It's like, yeah, that fits with someone. It was basically an account reselling site or something like that.
Yeah,
but I forgot what I was going to say. The eBay one had actually. Oh, okay, never mind. Talking about employer and stuff. So, funny thing is, you know all those spillages the DoD had several years ago, where this like millions of socials and stuff were lost on some laptop or whatever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was in there for that one and like 3 other DoD related ones. So. Wow. My email addresses for government and personal were exposed. My social probably was too. If I look, like on my credit report, like I use Credit Karma, and they actually go out and look at these spillage type things, where accounts are being sold on the, dark web and stuff, and actually look and try to track down things. I have like 8 breaches that my information's been spilled on.
Wow.
So I'm fortunate that I haven't had any issues so far. I don't think I've ever had anything I had to actually contest. I think anything that may have popped up was caught before it ever happened, type stuff.
That's good.
But so I'm not surprised in the least when I get an email saying, hey, you need to go reset your password or something, because I'm screwed.
I'm gonna tell you what I've been getting recently. I don't know if you two haven't, or if any of our audience have. I hope somebody else out there is experiencing this fucking pain that I'm going through. I'm getting like spam calls and spam texts daily. I have literally had to go get an app now that I block. This is kind of sad because anybody that needs to get a hold of me can't. But if I don't have your number saved in my phone, you can't contact me. Mm-hmm. It just drops calls. I've actually got it set now to where it will at least post the phone number for me.
Yeah.
But if anybody has to get a hold of me, like, you better Facebook me or something, because your call does not get through and I don't know your number. Yeah. But I will look through that log and I will get like 7 to 12 phone calls a day from random numbers, half of which are local, half of which are not. And I'll get text messages with gibberish words, or it'll have some word that relates to me somehow, like a city nearby or something. And I can't fucking, there's no way around this. There's nothing for me to do but block calls. Mm-hmm. It's almost gotten to the point where I want to change my phone number. Like, it's literally gotten that bad. I just haven't done it yet. So
yeah, I mean, I've had the same number for so long. I'm not changing because of idiots. We talked about this before, where you were getting, and we were both getting these calls where our numbers were spoofed, calling someone else. So then people start calling back. And it's always, for me, numbers that are down there. And because, local number or whatever, they just use something that's similar. So I don't even acknowledge calls that come from the area code down there anymore. Yeah. I just ignore them, because everybody down there that's going to contact me, I either have their number or they're on Facebook. There's not a single person that I would expect to contact me from that area code down there, so I just ignore it.
It puts me in kind of a weird state for some things. Like, I mean, granted, I still look for other employment now and again. I still look for other places to work, more pay, yada yada. And if any of those try to contact me by phone, I may not get it, and I can't even. even with the way this app is set up now, where I see the phone number, I can't even look at that and go, oh, that's a local number, because that's not the case at all. I have to literally type the phone number in Google, and it has to pull up, oh yeah, that's this business calling you, because they spoof local numbers. I believe we brought this up before, but yeah, they fucking spook local numbers, and it'll be something where it'll be a message, or they'll hang up and expect you to call back, and if you call back, it puts you on a list, and whatever. And I've called those numbers, and it's been like, yeah, man, you're like the 20th person that's called me. I have not called anybody in like days, so I don't know what's going on. And it's fucking bad. Like, from calls to texts, my number is like spammed daily. And it's like, there's nothing. I've tried the whole stop, text stop to not get anything else. That doesn't work. I think that increases the amount of shit that I get.
Yeah,
I can't block numbers because there's no one number to block. There's a different fucking number every time. And the list of headaches go on.
Yeah, I remember a long time ago, the advice, and this was mainly for emails, but it was to not even open them, or, hit their unsubscribe thing or whatever they have in there, because they will get a notification that you read the email, and that will cause them to flag their system going, okay, this is a real person, this is a valid email, so send more. I haven't really had an issue with that. My spam, it's funny. I clear out my spam constantly as soon as I see, a one next to thing in Gmail. But it's so funny waking up and seeing some of these spam emails. I'm like, why do people still do this?
Yeah.
It's the one that's been cracking me up lately. It's always from the same name, Jasmine. And the subject is, Ted Cruz, stop sending me your pictures.
Oh God, yes. This could almost be an episode of just like letting our spam build up and just go through the fucking subject lines, because man, stop bothering me, or hey, I haven't heard from you since yesterday, or stop sending me your pictures. And it's and that's not even, this is like the new age of them, because the old age used to be, hey, you want some new Viagra Cialis, 75% off, blah 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 blah. It's like, no, they're trying to get personal now.
Yeah. It's like, oh God, who am I offending? What am I doing wrong? I need to fix this now. It's just, it's been a constant thing. Anyway, so getting back to my actual week, other than restoring accounts over and over, I picked up one of the games I bought on Steam. I mentioned last week I was trying to play some of the ones I bought. Instead of letting them sit there like I normally do. I want to actually get some play in to justify, spending the money on the games. So I picked up Lethis Path of Progress. This is a, surprise, a city building type simulation game, but it's different in that it is a basically steampunk type game. So it's, and I spent 2 hours on it. I completed the tutorial. When I finished the tutorial, I had a very strange feeling about the game. It's I don't know 100% what it is, but the game feels really shallow, and I don't know if the campaign mode has a larger, more content to it than the tutorial presented. But the tutorial has stuff grayed out. It wasn't like stuff was actually missing from the bar, with your options of buildings and whatnot, what you could do. It just grayed them out so you couldn't do them until they wanted you as they were teaching you things.
Yeah.
But if those are all that's in the game, it felt really inadequate. So before I make a final decision on the game and just uninstall it, I will play through some of the campaign. I haven't done it yet because I've been playing a lot of Destiny 2. Speaking of the MMO grind, last week was an event called the Faction Rally. And I am terrible about these things, but you do certain objectives and you earn tokens because that's the stupid reputation system Destiny 2 has. You earn these tokens and turn them. I talked about this for Iron Banner before. It's a similar thing, except this one's even more tokens than Iron Banner is. Iron Banner is like level 30, which it's 20 tokens per level, so that's 600 tokens. Faction Rally, you don't have a cap, but the highest reward is at 50. So that's 1,000 tokens. I made it to 30 something. And this is one of those things where I read about it and I was like, okay, I need to go do this to earn the tokens. And I go do it and I'm like, man, this is really slow. And I go back and read and people are like, oh, I'm getting, 100 tokens in an hour or more, I'm like, I'm not getting 100. I'm getting like 20. So It's one of the things where after the week is over and it's literally ended, I'm finally getting more explanation as I'm going through Reddit and reading more threads going, oh, these are the things, but I'm supposed to do in this order because then that like quadruples your output on tokens. I'm like, okay. And I didn't even read it for part of it. I literally was just like, okay, I'm going to go do this. And I got 25 tokens for one thing I did. I'm like, that's more than I get, normally in an hour. I was like, why did that happen? So I did it again and I only got like 10. I'm like, what? So it was one of those systems where the game doesn't tell you, how you're supposed to earn these tokens other than do these types of events and you'll get tokens. But there is a set pattern, that you can follow and get, like I said, quadruple the output. So I found out pretty much in the last, 3 hours or so. And I earned quite a bit when I started, trying to do a pattern. And that's before I read about it. So after it ended, I started reading more and I was like, oh, yeah, I missed out. But I still spent a lot of time doing it. And part of it was part of the reason I didn't get as high as I wanted was because I was leveling my other characters. I wasn't really focused on the Faction Rally for most of it. I got my Hunter, for those that are following along at home, my Hunter went up from 365 to 369. Once you get over like 345, it goes really slow. 3 to 5 levels is pretty much all you're going to get in a week in one character, or at least on your primary character, I'll say. My Titan, I got from 336 to 363. Much bigger jump because weapons are shared. So my Hunter already had the weapons. So my Titan basically just had to catch up on gear. And with the way the loot progresses, having the weapons, sped it up probably 10, 20 times than what it took me on my Hunter.
Thank God.
And my Warlock was even faster. My Warlock actually surpassed my Titan. I went from 305 to 364.
Jesus.
And that was literally, I think, like 4 hours to do that, because the long part of getting them up is actually leveling them, because I hadn't touched them on the DLC, so they're still level 20. And the way Destiny 2 works is you can't reach certain power levels until you're a certain character level, which is really stupid, but, progression gating. Yay.
Yeah.
So once I hit level 30 on my Warlock, I could equip my same weapons as my Hunter. So I did that, boom, jumps me up to like 340 automatically. And then I can bump up the equipment and gradually get up there. And I say gradually, like I said, it's really quick. So I reset was actually yesterday. So I'm currently working on doing all the milestones for the week. That's why I got my 4 levels on my Hunter. So my Titan Warlock may actually pass my Hunt. Well, it'll be pretty close. It might not pass it, but it'll probably tie them once I do those milestones. But I'm close to the point where I can start toning down the Destiny 2 play and then get back to other games. aside from that, I've also been working again on my Twitch chatbot, my RPG game. I've been playing it, in my own chat while I'm streaming and stuff. And even when I'm not, I'll do my fights and stuff to level up. And I had noticed that I was running out of money. And the way the game is balanced, I shouldn't really have to worry about it, past a certain point. Money becomes kind of a non-issue because you get gear drops and you can sell them and then buy the gear you want. There's a whole process to it. But I was noticing I had pretty much no money. I couldn't afford any equipment. I was essentially a tier behind. The way the armor is structured and weapons are structured in the game is that basically every 5 levels is a tier. And within that tier, you have a piece of equipment for every slot and like 10 weapons to choose from. All in all, I have nearly 800 pieces of equipment for the game. And I was a tier behind, and that was starting to impact my fights. I was starting to lose more because I was statted out to where, I could pretty much kill anything. But because I was leveling up faster than I was equipping stuff, I got behind that curve. And I started looking at my stuff and realized I had a bug where I hadn't marked the equipment as being droppable. Because I only, being a little lazy, I only finished the process on gear up to like level 40, we'll say. Well, when I realized this bug, I was level 45. So I'd been going through 5 levels, which at this point isn't quick by any means. I went through 5 levels of not getting any gear drops, and that's your big money maker.
Jesus.
So I realized that, and that kind of spurred me to open the game up and see what was going on the back end.
How much engagement have you? Do you have a way to like check and track engagement from like the people that are in your chat?
Yeah, nobody plays it right now.
Is it available for others to play, or are they just not playing it?
Yeah, it's always up, even when I'm not streaming. As long as my internet hasn't crapped out, it's available.
Right.
And I have a leaderboard. By leaderboard, I mean it's an output of the database. All the character stuff is tracked in this database that I'm managing. So like I know that you've never even created a character on it. Our cousin, he actually recently created his character. I was going to give him crap about it too, or I think I did give him crap about it at one point. But he just did it, I think, 2 weeks ago. Did like one fight in the game, and that's all he's done. And that was mainly just because he was talking to me about something else at the same time. So he just went through the commands because I was doing them. Because that's what I do. I'll sit there, and when I'm on a loading screen or something for a game, like Destiny 2, going into a mission or out of a mission, waiting for the scoreboard to disappear to my next match of PvP or something, I'll just hit the command for, to fight in my bot and let that happen and then go back to my game. So he popped in while I was doing that and ended up doing it. But yeah, it's one of the, I also don't typically have many viewers. My average is like 1 to 3. So it's not like I have a large audience for it. One of my old coworkers, he was playing it pretty routinely. Got up to level 11 after the reset I did. And he kind of died off because life stuff took him away from the internet for a bit. Yeah, it's a shame. I would like to have more engagement, but I enjoy playing it. I enjoy working on it. It gives me something to code and actually progress with my coding skills and my database skills and stuff like that. I'm getting more familiar with Amazon Web Services, which is a huge thing. And I actually, my game runs a little slow right now because the connection to Amazon has that delay, unlike, when I'm pinging a database literally running on the same machine. So
yeah.
It's one of those things where I kind of need to, I have to refine the code to make fewer calls to the database, because I was pinging it for everything because it had no delay. Literally, like less than 1/10 of a second to process. I can go through 10 of those and I've only, got a second delay, and that's fine. So I need to delay it more. Let's see. I'm trying to think of what all I did. I fixed that bug, but I also, it's a bug. It was really just getting the work done. I went ahead and I tagged every piece of equipment. So everything has a price now. Everything's technically available in the game for purchase and drop and being equipped. So all 760 items or pieces of equipment are available up to level 100. I'm trying to think. I made some other tweaks to it to give more messages on the output to make it a little friendlier. Because it was one of the pieces of feedback I got in the past was that you get in a fight and then you die, but it doesn't tell you what kills you unless it was literally only enemy. But there are ambushes where you get attacked by 2 or 3 enemies. And if the second one killed you, it'd be like, okay, you killed the first one, and then you're done. It didn't tell you, well, you then died to this other one. So I fixed that, kind of quality of life stuff. That's been a good chunk of my time right now. I think I'm good on the bug side of things, or the quality of life things that I immediately noticed. And now I've just been kind of playing it, trying to make sure that now that I've worked out those issues, it's playing right and I don't have any other balance problems. But we'll see. One other thing I almost forgot to mention is I also kept watching Games Done Quick. That ended Sunday, I believe.
Yep.
And that was pretty good. Very good.
I did see in the list that they had a Mario Maker race this year. Yes.
Yeah, I sent you a thing on Discord saying, hey, it's going to be at 2 o'clock your time.
Yeah.
And I don't think you ever saw it.
No, I didn't. My Discord is not reliable at any given point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I should have sent it to you on Facebook.
But it's okay because, yeah, I've only got a few more days and my fucking time rolls over, and I'm gonna binge the entire GDQ probably. Over the course of like of days, weeks, whatever.
Oh, there was a run. Probably my favorite run, excluding the Mario Maker relay stuff, the quote unquote gimmick type stuff, was Bionic Commando Rearmed 2. I believe was the run. That was hilarious. That was such a good case of the runs. Fairly interesting, but the runner and his couch were phenomenal.
I'm telling you, I love that. I love it. I love when an average, mediocre game, whatever, and you're like, man, I don't even care about the game. I'm rolling.
Yeah, I've been watching this YouTube channel that basically goes through the history of speedruns.
Mm-hmm.
And they were talking about how I think the last one I watched was Mario 64, and how they went from, okay, you could beat the game with 70 stars in the quickest amount of time to beating it with just 30-something stars, and then to just beat it with 1 star, and then finally they're trying to figure out a way to beat it with 0 stars.
Yeah.
And he's just basically going through the evolution of how this guy beat this record, and then they found this glitch, and then the first person to beat it like that was this guy, and then that record got beat by this guy.
Yeah, I need to go back and watch a Super Mario 64 70-star race, because one of the 2 participants is the world record holder right now, which is typically the case. A lot of the runners are the world record holder, but it's not always the case. But this guy is really good at Super Mario 64. Cheese05. He's done some ridiculous stuff with the game. He pretty much got to a point where it was like, yeah, the game, can't get any faster, and he got faster.
Yep.
Yeah, they were talking about they did one for Mike Tyson's Punch-Out and beating Mike Tyson in the shortest amount of time possible. And you'd see these guys go frame perfect, for every single thing until they find out this one little glitch. Turns out that Mike can't hit you. It's like this one specific thing if you dodge preemptively and come back into it. And it's like, okay, if you can manage to do this, then this will happen, and then this will happen, and then you can do this even faster than that. And they went from being like, okay, the fastest one was like 2 minutes and 30 seconds to 2:12 to just flat 2 minutes. It's like, wow. Yep. And every time they shave a second off, it's like a major thing.
Yep.
But then they end up shaving like, half a minute off over time.
That's another great thing about having a good couch, especially an informative couch, or even if the streamer or the runner is good enough to talk about what's going on as he's playing. Either way, when you can get information and if you are a general gamer or even a non-gamer and you're watching GDQ, you kind of don't realize how good it is. You kind of don't realize what it is you're watching. You don't realize how distilled this is getting. Like, these players are doing frame perfect, and sometimes they'll even tell you the time of that frame perfect, 1/60th of a second, stuff like that. And they're doing this multiple times in a run, and they're like, and then they'll tell you that if I had blown that would add another minute and a half to this run. That would have maybe had to start the level over. That's another 16 minutes and 22 seconds to the run, so on and so forth.
Yeah, for Mario speed runs, and they're like, okay, well, if you do this perfectly, if you do this glitch perfectly on this exact frame, then you can get this. And there's a spot where the guy just stands still for 5 whole seconds. And it's specifically so that the game loads the next level faster, and that makes this fucking other thing go. Man. Yeah. It got meta as hell.
This is something that I meant to bring up during our GDQ talk, and we're not going to spend all night on it. We have enough to talk about with tonight's topic, but I personally, I think this is subjective for every person. It's all a matter of what you do and don't prefer. But when I watch speed runs, surface level, I like seeing full runs. I like seeing the 100%. I like seeing, Super Metroid ran the fastest, but at 100%. I want to see somebody get all the items. Super Mario 64. Yeah, I want to see all 120. I want to see all the stars. I like to see all those things. The ones that I don't care for, and I don't think I've really seen them in GDQ yet. You do see a lot of glitch type runs in GDQ. You do see a lot of, it's usually games that have 1 or 2 big glitches in them, and those glitches shave off time, and those I can tolerate. The ones that I personally don't care for, it's cool that people found shit like this, but to me it just completely bastardizes the point of a speed run in the game. A prime example, I've never seen this in GDQ that I can remember, but a few years ago, I'm sure you two remember this, the Super Mario World record was broken again, and it was 12 seconds or something to beat the game, or 12 minutes, some shit like that. And it's
like a minute and 12 seconds. Something
like that, yeah, where the guy was doing these weird, crazy, frame-specific moves and item grabs and enemy toss-offs and all that shit. And the language used was he's literally rewriting the code of the game to allow him that when he gets to this point, he jumps off Yoshi, grabs this Koopa shell, flicks it up in the air, jumps backwards, and then it thinks that he just jumped on Bowser out of the cannon and he wins the game. That, to me, I think that's cool. That's awesome, but that's not speedrunning to me. To me, it's given Ninja Gaiden and you going through that shit, no damage, frame perfect, as quick as humanly fucking possible. Not, if I jump at this wall and fly off, it actually puts me to the last level and I beat the game in a minute and a half. Like, that's not, cool, not speedrunning.
Yeah, that's not really running.
Yeah, you're
those things I've seen. Fuck. They're typically in like some part of like a glitch exhibition where they're not, these aren't, legit runs of the game, but these are some really interesting glitches that people have found. Mm-hmm. One actually came up in one of I think it was the Mario World race where the guy's console locked up when they were almost done with the game.
Oh, wow.
So he actually went, while the other guy was finishing the game, he went through and was doing one of those glitches that would take him to the very end. He first went through some warps, got almost to the end of the game, and he was going through one of those crazy processes of, pick this shell up, carry it up here. When the turtle starts coming out, throw it up. All right, catch it again, move over here, do this, do that. And, it actually locked the thing up. He didn't do it. He did it wrong somehow. It's one of those things where if it's not exactly right, you just lock the game up again. But it was interesting watching him attempt it because he was doing it from memory. He wasn't planning to do it. And even though he failed, he still got it. Was a very minor mistake, I'm sure, that caused it to not work. It was still impressive. Because he's like, I haven't done this in like a year and a half, so it probably won't work.
Mm-hmm. I love watching those races.
There was one on Super Mario 3 with the level 7-2 or something like that, where you were on the pipes or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you can warp straight to the end of the game. You can warp straight to the credits or something like that.
Yeah.
And skip every damn thing. Or straight to Bowser's room or something like that. But there was here's an interesting question, because while I was watching the speedrun things, I did notice that there are not glitches, but hardware limits that they intentionally push it to.
Yeah.
Okay, so take Super Mario, the original, and it can only display 7 things on the screen at once.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now speedrunners abuse this in 2 different ways. One, they'll hit this one specific pipe to make a plant grow, which pushes a 6th thing onto the screen. Then when they jump right, there's 8 things on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
But it can't have 8 things on the screen, so a piranha plant doesn't come out of a specific pipe.
Mm-hmm.
So that they can just, stick the landing right in the center of a pipe that's supposed to have a piranha plant come out of it.
Yeah.
Is that legit?
I would say...
If you did it intentionally?
I feel like that's something that would probably happen if you're playing the game fast enough. Okay. This is kind of like the Taz argument that I hear a lot and read about a lot, is that if a robot can do it, if we can literally program, this is the literally episode. Apparently, I'm literally obsessed today. If you can program, if you can create a program that will run that game exactly to perfection, where is your boundary of, a human can do that too? I think speedrunners of anybody in the world push that boundary to the absolute limit, but I would feel like it's a matter of how many times you're doing that in the game. Like maybe I would think that would come to like a committee type thing, which they do. The speedrunning community as a whole has all kind of committees. Like, we're not letting this run of Mega Man X or this run of Jak and Daxter in because we're not allowing for this, and this glitch or this, and exploit.
Okay, now let me add this again. And, there was a speedrunner. Now, here's one thing where the computer certainly would take this route, but a human being, me or you, would definitely not, unless you were just knowledgeable about the mechanic they were exploiting. The same mechanic, only 7 objects with 7 hitboxes on the screen at once. At the very final Bowser, he jumps up, he throws hammers, and he flings fireballs. Well, if you get a very specific pattern, the last hammer in the hammer chain doesn't have a hitbox.
Yeah. I mean...
So he jumps straight through the hammer,
What do you think, Chris? What do you say?
I mean, it really depends on the game. I mean, this is why there's so many categories for pretty much every game. You know, there's glitchless, there's no major glitches. You know, it's a call for each community to determine what they want to allow on what leaderboard. If they're even going to allow it on a leaderboard, or they're just going to say, no, we're not interested in that as a community. You know, people can still do it on their own, but they're not going to have that same audience they would otherwise.
I feel like it would really whittle down to how likely would it be, even for a quote unquote expert of this game, to make this happen regularly. You know, if this is like a 1 in 200ths of a second, and it has to be done like at this point and this point and this point and this point in the game to make this thing happen, I mean, there's speedrunners that do some crazy shit, but I think the more you add to it, the more it's like, yeah, you damn near need a fucking machine to do that, and that that takes.
And a lot of it is RNG.
Yeah, that too.
Like I said, you have to get a very specific pattern out of Bowser to get that result. So you won't be able to, 9 out of 10 times you'll go there and that won't happen.
Yeah.
So you can't exploit that. But if you see it, you can. If you do get it and you know it's there, you can freely do it. Another thing was, I want to say it was Mario. It was one of the Marios. But they had a what was the one that, I think it was that world glitch you were talking about, where he like simultaneously hits this thing with a fireball, and then he turns it into a coin, grabs it with Yoshi, and does a spin jump off, but collects the coin before Yoshi pulls it in.
Yeah, there's probably some phrase or term for that, but I only know it as like the Super Mario World fuck you glitch system. Because I mean, it's literally a series of different things that like line up in a row.
Like, let me fuck this game up because it doesn't know what to do.
Yeah,
it's like he was getting a coin, but he just got the coin, but he's got to have something, so I'm gonna throw an item up here, and it just happens to be the end of the game.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what's going on this year. I've kind of perused the list. I've really stayed away from the list because I'm trying to surprise myself, but I did look over it a little bit. I did see the Super Mario Maker Relay race and a few of the other races. I didn't see too many other gimmicky. Like I saw they were doing Final Fantasy VI again this year, which cool. But I've seen, especially Poexel, I've seen them run it many times. It's going to be interesting to see what races they have and just to go through it. I don't really watch every single game, but I tell you, that can bite you too, because as you said, Chris, there are games that you may not care about it, but man, that couch, you are missing out if you don't watch it. So.
Yeah, it was one of those where my routine for like the last week and a half was, all right, I start working, I turn on, the World Cup, game's over. All right, let me watch, my Achievement Hunter videos or whatever. All right, nothing out yet. Or I watch it and then I've got an hour until the next World Cup game, so I'll watch some GDQ. World Cup game ends. All right, I'm going to go back to GDQ, watch it, on the background until I find something else to do. So I caught a lot of random runs that I probably normally wouldn't watch. I mentioned this last week, but I'm kind of not feeling it overall. I've seen, like, I didn't watch the Final Fantasy 6 run. I've seen it before. It's a long run.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to be able to see the whole thing anyway, because they did it so late. They actually did it overnight. They didn't start until like 8 o'clock at night, my time. And it's a 7-hour run, roughly. Yeah. So I was like, I've seen it. Nothing crazy about it for me, so I'll just skip it.
Take all this with a grain of salt, audience. If this is like your first episode listening to us, we've talked about GDQ several times across several episodes. And what we're particularly talking about right now in this moment is that we have actually seen so many GDQs that, again, when you have a multi-hour RPG, a 6 to 8 hour quick run RPG, when you've seen it for the third time, it's like, okay, you only shaved like 6 minutes off in the middle of the game. There's nothing. The commentary must be great, or you're just a really big fan of the game. If you've never seen GDQ, stick in and watch them. Like, you're gonna find your games that you're gonna look for. You're gonna find your own quirks. You're gonna find your own love and life about GDQ. I've said it many times before, man. GDQ is my Super Bowl. Speedrunning is that's my sports. That is my football. That fits a huge part of my core nerd culture, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, I've been still thinking about speedrunning some more, but I don't really. I want to jump back into 7 again, but it's such a long run, and even if I limit it to first part of the game just to get back in the routine, it's still so much time commitment. I'm thinking of finding something shorter to do, because like I mentioned before, my time for 7 was 13 hours. That's a long run.
I know for a fact you can beat So I Couldn't too in 12.
So I'm kind of trying to decide on a game. I don't know what type of game I want to do though, because there are certain games I'm just not good at. So I know if I try to speedrun it, I'm not going to be good at it,
Well, what you know and what everybody that watches GDQs knows, because good Lord, every other person says it when they're finished with a run. The speedrunning community as a whole is huge, and every single game has its own subset community, and all of those little communities are also huge, and apparently they're all very open, they're welcome. If you ever want to try X game, you can find X Games community for speedrunning, and they're from the baby all the way up to the experts.
When I started my 7 speedrunning, there is a Final Fantasy speedrunning community. They don't limit it to, one particular game. They have, like, it's a Discord channel, so they have the multiple channels for the game you're running and stuff. And I was linked there, I think, directly from the speedrunning leaderboards, too. They have their links on there, hey, come join our Discord. So I joined it, and I was, I wasn't really there to do anything, and then I started setting things up. I ran into an issue, with the emulator I was running. I'm like, all right, hey guys, I'm new here, blah, blah. Can someone help me with this emulator? And they're like, have you tried this one? I was like, no, I'll go do that. And it worked great. First try, no issue. I went back, I was like, hey, thanks, works. And then I was able to start, doing my runs. It was really easy to do. Nobody, gave me any crap about, coming there asking questions immediately, because that's what they were there for. Yeah. Most of these communities, they want people to join them. They want people to start running these games more and more, and grow that player base, runner base, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. It's a big part of nerd culture, man. I'm saying that phrase again for a particular reason, because that's our topic for today, and I think I'm ready to get into it, gentlemen.
Did you
go down this rabbit hole?
Yes.
Did you want to talk about the this month's games first?
Yeah, that's right. The PlayStation. Go ahead before we do. Yes.
Sure. So I went through and took a look, because we're at the beginning of the month, and the Games with Gold and PlayStation Plus stuff both rolled over. Games with Gold is very interesting this month. It feels kind of cheap and not worth it this month.
Really?
The 360 backwards compatible game is Virtua Fighter 5, which is, I don't know how good the game is, but Virtua Fighter's cool, so I'm okay with that. The other 2 games, though, so they have the Smite bundle again, which Smite's a free game, but they have this gold bundle, which gives you a bunch of crap that nobody cares about, for free, which if you play Smite, or you want to play Smite, cool, but this is the second month in a row this is on here.
Wow.
So I don't like that, it's supposed to roll over.
Mm-hmm.
That aside, that happens from time to time. They'll roll over a game, or there'll be, one that sticks there for a bit. Okay, whatever. Here's what really gets me. So the other game is one I've never heard of. I know nothing about it, literally nothing about it. It's called Assault Android Cactus. Sounds like a string of 3 random words they put together.
Sounds like a Steam game.
Yeah, but this is on Xbox One, so it may be on both. But it's the quote unquote first games with gold on the list. So I'm like, okay, every month I go through and I go, okay, buy it, cancel the download. I'll play it on my own time. So I go in, I hit buy, and it starts downloading. I hit cancel download, and it goes, okay, buy. I'm like, what? I own this game now. That's how Games with Gold works. Apparently, the Games with Gold for that game is only a window you can play it in for free.
What?
But you don't actually own the game.
Oh,
so
fuck that.
That's not what Games with Gold is. That's not what it's ever been.
Do you think that they're trying to revolve around that model that apparently the Nintendo Online shit is supposed to be, where it's like you get games that you can play for basically a month and then they take it off?
But see, they have stuff like that. They have their Game Pass and other stuff where you get, and it's not even related to Games with Gold, though. It'll just be a game you're able to play for a weekend or so. Yeah. And that's cool. I'm all for that. Get your game out there, let people play it, and then if they like it, they buy it. But this is Games with Gold. This is one of the reasons I have my Xbox Live Gold subscription.
Mm-hmm.
Because the game says you can play this game for now or buy it to own. I don't know what the for now is. But my options are install, buy to own, or buy as a gift. The typical options, buy to own and buy as a gift.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how long this is for. I don't know if it's for this month, or the 2 weeks until it rolls over. But it was very, to be blunt, it's a shitty thing to do, I think.
Yeah, that sounds shady as shit, man.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on the flip side of things, I think PlayStation Plus kind of nailed it this month with all the games that are coming out and have come out recently. Heavy Rain is one of the games.
Mm-hmm.
What you actually got with... What game did you get that with? Was it God of War? Who are the devs the same on that? It was a game.
I think Heavy Rain's a David Cage game, so I don't think so.
Oh, that's right. It came with Detroit if you bought a certain pack.
Now that makes sense. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, Detroit Become Human. Okay, so so Heavy Rain, because of Detroit Become Human, now it's on PS Plus. I'm sure that's the thought behind that. Absolver, which I can't 100% remember what that game is. But I know it's another one that was fairly popular.
I
think that one's more of a niche audience, but
I think that's that game that was it was like one-on-one combat, but it was like the camera set behind you, sorta. And I remember these weird costume people fighting each other, and the combat's supposed to be good.
That's and you have different styles and stuff like that you could use.
It's supposed to be out of nowhere, a hit wonder, so cool.
Yeah.
But either way, hey, you got it for free.
Yeah. The third game, which I'm a little confused. PlayStation Plus is so odd anyway. They do so many different things with it. Like you've got the PS4 games, the PS3 games, and the Vita games, which the Vita games are going to go away. Mm-hmm. But oftentimes there's one or two games that are PS3 and PS4.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what happened here because there's another PS4 game called Extreme Exorcism. Again, okay. No clue what that is. I clicked give it to me because I get it for free. No clue, but it's on PS4 and PS3. So it's kind of taking the other PS3 slot and adding a extra one there.
Pretty sure Exorcism by its very definition is pretty extreme.
I'm
wondering how much the multiplier increases when you put extreme in front of it.
You might have gotten in over your head, Chris. You might have.
It's like a VR game. Starts haunting your house and shit.
We'll see one day, maybe eventually. I only have like 300 games with gold and PS Plus games, to eventually play one day.
On top of Steam and everything else.
Yeah. These games that aren't even considered to be in my backlog, they're just there.
Yeah.
The other PS3 game, which is exclusively PS3, is Rayman 3 HD.
Yeah.
Which Rayman's always a good time. It's a nice chill game. Yeah. So that's your Games with Gold and PS Plus report for the beginning of the month.
Da-da-da. Thank you, Chris, for that amazing report. When does the PS Plus library roll over? Is it also at the beginning of the month? Is it middle of the month? Do you know?
So I'd have to actually go back and confirm, but typically it's around the 15th. They both roll over one of the games. There's typically a game that's there for the entire month, and then halfway through, one of the other games will roll over and not be available.
Awesome. Well, because apparently I'm just the gun jumper on every episode lately. Does anybody else have anything else before we roll into this possibly very heavy topic today?
All my points are checked off.
No, that's right. As the title would lead you to believe, today we are talking about nerd.
Wait. No, I'm just messing with you.
Damn it, Adam. Damn it, Adam. I'm going to demand a docket sent to me from now on. Today we're talking about...
together.
Yes, you have. Today we are talking about nerd culture. Now, I realize that even from somebody that's not listening to this podcast, that is not a gamer, so to speak, this could mean many things, and I anticipate that, and I want that discussion throughout this episode. It's not just about gaming culture, but nerd culture in general. Yes, we're primarily going to be talking about the effects or the look and appeal of the video game side of it, but man, I've got so much. There's so much rattling around in my brain about this for many reasons, because this has been the first, aside from our lists that we generally do homework for, this has been one of the few times in our podcast history that I wanted to sit down and write a actual fucking paragraphed or paged outline to talk about. For many reasons, man. I've decided not to, because I thought, just fuck it. We'll just cuff it and just talk about whatever the fuck we want to talk about. Whatever comes out. However long it is, how long it's going to be, I don't care. But this is a very, very important topic for me on many levels, because I have a lot of extremes on this topic that I hopefully get off my chest and get out. A preface for the audience. Again, the topic does say nerd culture. Before we all get into our individual details and fly down the snow-covered hill of this topic, I can safely say that of the three of us, we all three play video games. We all three like anime. We've all three played with toys when we were kids. We all have our own decade or year of preference, of shit that we can relate to. There is a large, encompassing umbrella when it comes to nerd culture. And while I have tried for years to throw the statement out that, everybody is technically a nerd at something, about something, whether they're a football nerd, they just don't call them nerds, whether they're a car nerd, they just don't call them nerds, a fucking motorcycle nerd, a collecting stamps nerd, like I'm trying to get the preface out, and I'm already sliding down my own hill. But the point is, even today, as of this recording in 2018, I feel that nerd culture still revolves around certain aspects of life, certain lifestyles, certain likes and dislikes, certain hobbies, certain things that people do and don't involve themselves in. Generally, and I mean, I guess part of it's thanks to fucking pop culture in general. Thank you, Big Bang Theory, for all the bullshit you do. But generally, when you hear somebody say something and blah, 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 nerd, whether somebody knows every fucking football stat from 1970 or not, you're not thinking about them. Whether somebody knows every aspect of, say, model airplanes, you don't generally think about them. When you think of nerds, it's hard for me, being one, to think outside of what people that like people that aren't nerds, how they think about nerds, period. But I do feel that they all still revolve around the same nerd culture. So, yeah, I know what you two are saying as well. Like, man, he's rambling. I'm going to ramble. I'm trying, like, I'm dipping my toes in that water before just diving in, but I feel we might as well just fucking do it. The fact that I didn't make the outline makes me not really have a way. We're just going to just know that for me, this is a very fucking important and serious subject, and let's just fucking get it all out. I would say from the top, just a one random question of all the 30 different topics we're going to talk about. Do you two feel that nerd culture today is like what it was, say, 2 decades ago?
Fuck no.
Me either. I think on many facets through media, social media, just the rise of Advent. The rise of Advent children.
Advent children is what caused this shit.
Yep. The rise of social media being such a fixture in life, period, is one thing. But, media in general, just blowing up and putting nerd stuff in the face of everyday people, period, has increased over time. Now that the face of that nerd culture as well has grown and changed. You can look back at video game commercials from the 80s and just see that it was always a very set stereotype of you. Either on the one radical side, you had the wow, crazy, in your face, hat backwards, skateboarding, extreme gaming, like you got to play this game.
Blast processing.
Exactly. But you also saw, typically, you saw some kid, usually a boy, button-up shirt, pocket protector,
yeah,
glasses, tight blue jeans, sneakers.
Basically AVGN.
Not realizing that he can have shit on his the frames of his glasses to hold his glasses up, because good God, he kept pushing his glasses back up on his nose every 5 seconds. And have you seen the new
Zelda
monster in the Farblip dungeon of the Snarpledip town? And it's like, wow, yeah, I have. And it's,
hold up. Do y'all remember the Zelda rap commercial?
Zelda. Yes, I have.
Where it's like the cool kids, like, yeah, check this out.
Oh, that's you're talking about the Legend of Zelda is really rad. Okay.
Yeah. Man, I wish I had a dad. And then he was all sad and shit.
Yeah.
The whole tone of the commercial changed. It was bad. I don't know what the hell they were thinking.
Throughout my life, I've seen gaming pushed into commercials, pushed into TV shows, pushed into movies. And even to this day, you still see them not done correctly. Like, you'll see somebody playing, for some reason, in 2018, they're playing a fucking Game Boy Advance, obviously with no game in it, and the power button not even turned on, and there's fucking Pac-Man sound
holding
effects
the controller upside down.
Yeah, they're shaking the Game Boy Advance around like nobody plays.
They've got a PlayStation controller, and like Pong is going on.
Yeah, that's typical. That's more misrepresentation of video game nerd culture. This is something that popped into my mind. I meant to go find this on YouTube, but I remember a King of the Hill episode. This is one of the examples of what I talk about that I want to address on this episode of nerd culture and the perception of nerds, and just how video game nerds or comic nerds or anime nerds, whatever fucking nerd you are, that's not a other than those type of nerd. There was an episode of King of the Hill where somebody, I want to say it was Hank, went into either Bobby's room or a kid's room or something, is like, tell him dinner was ready or some shit. And it was a kid in a room playing video games, and there were no lights on in the room, and all the light was coming from a computer monitor, and the kid turns around and he's like pale, pasty white, and his eyes are really big, and he looks like he's fucking coked out of his mind. And Hank was like, "Oh God!" and left the room.
I've had those nights.
I feel
we've all been there.
We've all been there, true enough, gentlemen, but I feel like society still to this day treats everyone that plays games like that. I feel from parents to adults to teenagers to the media to people in general, when they hear a video game nerd, like to this day, it's still, oh, he's a video game nerd. He's one of those weirdos that, I mean, we could go down a fucking list, guys.
I think we discussed this before, but it's just going to take that older generation to just go ahead and die.
Yeah. Well,
and as soon as they're dead, then we won't have to deal with this anymore. It's just the people that are like, 50 and up right now that didn't grow up with video games.
As
soon as they're all dead,
you say that, but
they'll stop calling it the Nintendo. Did you ever get that when you growing up? You're like on like the fucking Xbox or something. You're like, get off that Nintendo, boy.
Yeah, our grandmother called it the Nintendo all the time.
Yeah,
all the time. But in her defense, our grandmother never held our games above our head, though. She never made it. Even on nights where Chris, me, and our other cousin were playing games way too loud and having way too much fun and woke her up, she never came in and kicked the door in and, cut that shit off. We were fortunate to have people that, while they didn't overly spoil us, they at least accepted our hobbies. I don't think that's how society sees it in general.
My grandmother told me I could only have the TV or the console on, so I had to pick one.
Wow. And right when you were going to say, but that makes no sense, she just backslapped the face right off.
She reached down with her cane and turned the motherfucker off. No shit, true story.
But what I was trying to say earlier was I feel that there is still a large stereotypical list of shit that goes through people's heads when they hear gaming to this day that is insulting, but it's like it's falling into a laugh track that people think it's funny to bring up these things that are not true, and they're not true. But because it's become like it is a humor stereotype. Like,
it's a meme.
So yes. So, he plays video games. I bet you that's the only thing he does. Not true. Oh, he plays video games. I bet he doesn't take a bath. He doesn't bathe properly. Not always true. We'll get into the hard fact stereotypes later, but no, that's not true. Oh, he plays nothing but video games. I bet he doesn't have, or she, I keep saying he, I bet they don't have a life partner. Well, the video games shouldn't be a reason why that should be a problem anyway, but that's also not true. Like there's like a succession of things that just fly through somebody's heads, and it paints a picture of somebody that's like, man, I just fucking play games because they're fun. Like they're, so it's hard. So this we're all going to speak about our own. I want us all to talk about our own life. But for me and my life, you're talking to a 36-year-old man. So I have two jobs. I'm not trying to say like I have two full-time jobs. I'm in a military part-time, and I work a full-time job, and sometimes a swap. I have a wife. I don't have any kids yet, but we're going to. I have a house. We both have vehicles. We have a plethora of toys. We have pets. There are other hobbies that I engage in. Yes, most of them do revolve around a nerd culture. Like, I do like anime. I just don't have time for it. Most of my hobbies I just don't have time for. I like comic books. I just don't read them that often. I like movies. I love riding motorcycles. There are other things that I'm into. It's video games are a primarily engaging hobby of mine, and they are a true passion of mine. But I mean, I bathe, I pay my bills. I'm not socially awkward. I hang out with friends when I choose to, and I don't know. I feel like there are so many things around nerds that just aren't true.
Yeah, they try to paint you into that one-dimensional picture of what they think you should be based off these media stereotypes that have been prevalent for the last 30 years.
Yeah. And the fact that they're pushed into media and they usually revolve around a laugh track means that it's almost like it's okay to continue to portray that.
Now, I say 30 years, but it's more like 40.
Yeah.
Because it probably stems back to the early early 80s, late 70s, where you really started to see that kind of come out.
Yeah,
I think I'm going back, but I can remember the kids always hanging out at the arcade or whatever it was, and they're beating up pinball. They're like a pinball wizard or whatever, and oh man, but at the same time, being a gamer has become a lot easier.
Yeah, thankfully.
I mean, thankfully, there's good sides and downsides to that as well, because I mean, if you take a look at it, yeah, you've got more people that are into gaming, but now if somebody says, yeah, I play games, okay, well, now it's not instantly we have a conversation. It's where are you at on the spectrum?
Yeah. and see, there's a good point. We can talk about this for a minute. What is that any different from, I hate using football as a reference. I guess it's because of my upbringing. I guess it's because it's the main thing that I see around me, being, I guess because I'm a guy, and that's usually the first thing that guys go to. Do you watch football? Yay, nay. What teams are you into? Do you watch pro or college? What teams, what players? And I'm here, I can sit back and watch two football guys talk about football if they never bring up video games at all. And while I may not 100% be able to follow everything, because there's going to be a gradient of, I don't know that player, I don't know shit about any of that, I can listen to them and I can hear their progression of talking, and I can go, you fuckers are just like me. Because if I run into some guy in the street that's wearing a PlayStation shirt, maybe I'll choose to engage him with a conversation, much like a Panthers fan will see another guy with a Panthers hat on and be like, hey, fucking John Smith this year, right? And he'll be like, yeah. And then they start talking. I'll see the guy with the PlayStation shirt and go, hey, man, how much PlayStation do you actually play? You're just wearing that shirt. And then we will progress down a line of conversation that will end up with, hopefully, talking about fucking Front Mission and Suikoden. But it also may stop with, man, I played the first 3 Crash Bandicoots, and that's kind of about it. I'm not really that deep into it. But I feel across all interests, across all hobbies, that's the same. But for some reason, if Chris is a video game nerd or Adam is an anime nerd, we're looked down upon. Though you and I can have conversations about other things that are, man, I hate even using this word, but for lack of a better one, accepted in society. If we talk about things that are in the gaming culture or the anime or comic or whatever, it's like, it gets that fucking nose, that looking down the nose.
And okay. Their voice drops a couple octaves, and they're like, "Oh, is that your hobby?"
Yeah, exactly.
You piece of fucking shit.
And so I'm kind of blessed / cursed with the fact that I work with a lot of my employees are younger age. They're in their later teens, early 20s, and I hear them talking about games here and there. I don't find many of them that either do or admit that they play games as, close to the amount of time that I do. I mean, look, I work a full-time job. When I get home, I spend pretty much 60 to 70% of my off time playing games. I have to shower. I have to feed animals. I have to go grocery shopping. I have to bathe. I have to brush my teeth. I've got to do all that, do the laundry. I have to spend time with my wife. Duh. But if I'm not doing any of those things, I'm in front of a game. And I listen to people talking, and I'm like, you kind of do the same thing. Here's something else that's funny about this. When I was a kid, when my parents would come home, my mom was into crafts, yeah. My dad was into hunting and fishing, yes. But when they came home from a fucking hard day's work, you know what they did? They sat on the fucking couch and watched TV all night. And I'll tell you now, you can find that across the motherfucking globe. So why is it that somebody that comes home, and I'm not trying to put gaming on some pedestal, other than the fact that you have to actually engage with a video game, and a game can also give you feedback. But why is it that somebody that comes home and spends 5 to 6 to 7 hours sitting on a couch vegging in front of a TV watching a rerun of some fucking zombie show, why do they get looked just, oh, you're just one of us? But us that sit home and play video games for 6, 7, 8 hours a day, we get looked down on. Like, I don't...
That's because you're a fucking nerd.
Exactly. These disconnects I don't understand. And granted, I'm not fucking college educated enough to go research all this. I've not spent hours upon hours. And I want us to as well just talk about this. I realize.
Thankfully, I don't believe it's exactly that way anymore. Now, here's where I'll put the caveat on that. If you look at the way the generations have gone, I mean, right now, the generation that's probably going to be above us on the pay grade until we get into our senior citizen years is going to be a generation that grew up with that other culture, viewing video games as some kind of, I don't know how I phrase this, more of a shut-in kind of culture. Yeah. You know, you have somebody that's socially awkward and doesn't know, proper etiquette, that kind of stuff. That's the I guess the stereotype that you're going to be running up against anytime you bring that up in any type of setting. Doesn't matter if it's professional or if it's just a social setting. Those people who are not likely to be your peers, they're likely to be your superiors or your, whatever. They're going to be looking at you like that. Like, why do you waste your time with that crap?
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess what they don't realize is that video games are closer to books than they are to TV in certain circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, they're a completely different form of media altogether. So somebody that spends their day with their nose in a book, or somebody that sits around listening to music all day, or somebody that watches TV all day, somebody that plays video games, they're all doing the same damn thing.
Yeah.
It just depends on what type of content they're consuming that you should make, personal judgments about them, or can even attempt to.
Mm-hmm.
But once they die, it'll be all nice and over with.
Chris, I want you to weigh in some.
We'll be on the top of the totem pole again.
I want you to weigh in some, man. I realize I'm hogging the mic so much here, but obviously I got shit I want to get off my chest. What do you feel? How do you feel?
So I think things are a lot better than they have been. I think our biggest issue right now as a, culture, as a community, whatever word you want to put on it, as gamers, are the extremes. Every time, some kid is at an internet cafe for 72 hours straight, kills over, or something like that, it reverses some of the progress we've made. We're still net positive, and I think part of the reason we've kind of transitioned into this more accepted state is not only because social media is so prevalent and, these stereotypes are kind of being broken by seeing more of these people, so to speak, is that technology is so much more ingrained in our lives.
Yep.
What was once before seen as something only, nerds use computers, it's now, okay, everyone uses computers. Your phone's a fucking computer,
Mm-hmm. It went from being, how to use a computer, you fucking nerd, to, you don't know how to use a computer, you fucking idiot.
So I think that's helped a lot, and it's interesting because, like, if I look at the IT field, as a community, looking at the diverse group of people, in one office, there's the sports fans, there's the, book readers, all these different people, we've kind of talked about, all working IT, because IT isn't seen as a nerdy thing anymore. It's a part of life. It's a step in the progression of mankind. You know, it's something that is everywhere. It's going to be everywhere. It's just going to get more and more in depth. And people are like, oh, I can go do this and make money. Well, hey, this is kind of cool. You know, not thinking that, oh, hey, you know, just 10 years ago, I'd be, you know, stuffing the nerd that thought this was cool in a trash can. And it's funny going into an office like that. And it's like, okay, you know, people haven't met each other. And, you know, the only common trend here is, hey, we're all working IT. And, you know, a meeting kicks off and people are just having a casual conversation about football or something. And they're like, hey, what's your team? And I'm like, I don't follow sports. I'm just a computer nerd. You know, and they're like, oh, okay. You know, and that's it. That's it. It's like, okay, good to know. Sure, we'll keep our conversation going on. You know, try to include you where we can, and that's it. There's no like, oh, you nerd. It's just another hobby. You know, it's just another thing. And I think I've kind of, you know, like I said, I will literally say I'm just a computer nerd. You know, or I'm a gamer. I'm not going to hide it. I'm not going to shy away from it. I'm going to own it. And if they don't like it, not my problem. You know,
I think I would be hard pressed to think of a time when this happened, but I think that in my recent memory, the most nerd bashing, I guess you would say, that I see is usually on social media. I can't really think of times where face to face, be it that either I'm intimidating as a person or people just aren't as mean as I think they are and I just want to see the worst and everything, or for whatever reason, I don't really have too many times that I can think of where somebody in my face has been like, well, you play them games? Like, I don't really see that, but it seems like social media, I see it all over the place. Case in point, I saw, and this is one of, I'm just cherry picking this from folks because they're by the barrel full, but there was some post on Facebook, some little meme picture thing about a guy that plays video games for 6 hours a day and his girl dumping him or his girl leaving him, blah, blah, blah. And some girl made a post about it saying something along the lines of, well, him playing in video games for so long is the main reason why they broke up. Obviously, blah, blah, blah. And I mean, this whole thing, and I'm telling you, 50 Shades of Red, my face was turning because this is the kind of shit that gets passed. This is the kind of shit that goes for, this is what it's like. Of course, I made a lengthy fucking 20-paragraph report about how this is fucking stupid. This is stupid as hell. Like,
I actually
know. Chris, you said it best. You made the best point that there are extremes to everything. I can give you any single interest of somebody's life. There's going to be extremes. There are extreme fucking football fans. There are extreme car
riots
enthusiasts.
And shit.
Exactly. They're extremist blank. Okay.
When was the last time you saw computer nerds rioting?
Well, what I mean is,
if you did, you wouldn't.
Well, I don't.
The entire world would just shut down.
I don't just necessarily mean extremists as in they result of violence. I also mean extremes like, I mean, this, I brought it up earlier, might as well fucking get it out of the way now. There are gamers who are just a bit too fucking much. And so this is me talking directly to you if you fall in this line, gamer. While trying not to sound like a judgmental asshole, I'm kind of sort of judging you because as Chris said, you're kind of fucking our image up. It's great that you want to play Smash Brothers for 15 hours straight a day, but it sets a really bad fucking precedence when you go rank number 3 at some tournament in a hotel in Nevada, and then they complain about people that are kicked out of the hotel lobby because they fucking smell bad. You still have to bathe, dude. I get that you want to be the pro. I get that, but even fucking pro football players shower. This is like one small tiny example of extremist. Yes, folks, of course, some of the stereotypes do exist. There are crazy, wild, extreme comic book collectors and extreme anime fucking waifu pillow fuckers out there. I know they exist.
Sorry, I mean, he's got a point.
But and yes, I mean, as much as horrible as that sounds, I realize exactly what I'm doing and saying here. As horrible as it sounds to say, you are fucking up some images for people. because those of us who are trying to put this shit out there and make gaming not such a negative thing, you're steamrolling over that. They're going, yeah, well, look at that. Like, there's a fucking guy right there that obviously doesn't take care of himself and doesn't dress right. What the fuck is he wearing? It's like, well, hold on.
Well, now I have to defend this fucking asshole for being an asshole. But here's the thing is, you should be less mad at the asshole and more mad at the guy who was looking to find the asshole so he could pin that on everybody.
Yeah, there's all sorts of meta upon meta in that, but the point I'm trying to make is there's always they're going to be
give them an
for
excuse.
Everything. Yeah, don't fucking be part of the extremes that are giving the negativity to be more fuel for a fire that's already there, still burning, and we're trying our best to put it down.
Yeah, and
soul still burns.
To kind of touch on what Adam was saying, it is certain generations are better than others, but I think that the older generations are getting better and better. There are still those that are going to be firm in their views, just like you still have the racists that are going to be firm in their views until the day they die. I know we can probably all three point to family members who, growing up, it's like, wow, they were racist as shit. And they probably still are. It's not socially acceptable, so they don't say anything. And some of them aren't anymore. They've realized, oh, I was a piece of shit,
Let me unfuck myself.
But I don't think that, as Adam puts it, the older generation dying out is going to make things magically better. It will improve a set amount, but every generation has those people. It's always a problem. It's better. I mean, I'm not going to get political, but if you look at, the way the generations are politically and, the things that different generations are striving to do to be better just in general. Whether that's the racism issues, the other, I'm not even going to start listing out things. The plethora of topics that are in the media today, we're as a whole getting better. We can have the whole conversation about going too far. Fair enough, but we're going the right direction overall.
I think the fact that gaming, and again, we're not just talking about gaming when we say nerd culture, and God, there's still so much more to talk about. But when you talk about gaming culture, the fact that double-edged sword that we mentioned many times before of gaming becoming more casual and becoming more accepted means we're breeding shittier games. Yes, but it's also breeding more people coming in and accepting gaming. But then there's also the level of, well, are they really accepting gaming, or did they just find that once Dance Revolution game fun and that's the only fucking thing that they know,
Sure.
Acceptance is great, and mass production and mass acceptance is also great, but what is the cost and risk?
Well, now the cost is definitely having to sift through the trash and having to vet your sources on everything. And say, I played 18 hours of games a day. Fucking bubble pop on my phone.
I want to have a little mini rant in the middle of this, which is also topical about
rant in the mega rant. Go for it.
The fucking Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, fuck that show.
Let me tell y'all
fuck
right
that
now.
Whole show.
I'm going to say this again. I want this on record so it's understood that I'm completely talking out of my ass because I've not seen a single episode of this show. Before I hated it, long before I hated it, before I actually watched it, I could see that show from a distance and go, nope. But once I started seeing like little snippets here and there, little clips here and there, and especially videos that talk directly about the show from a nerd perspective, really quick shout out to, I believe Wisecrack did a good Why Big Bang Failed or something episode. Pause this episode and go watch that right now because you will get a clear grasp of what I'm talking about here. The Big Bang Theory is a prime example. For me, as a nerd, it is a fucking prime example of what the world sees us as, and it is so fucking not true. It is not what we should be shown as and depicted as. Again, Wisecrack, being the intelligent guys they are, they do a much better job of fleshing that out. But when I see the way that they basically, again, it's the whole laugh track thing. They put humor over genuine, like, holy shit, really awesome nerd things. If me and Adam were to have a one-on-one conversation about Suikoden 2, we may or may not be in the vicinity of like 20 other people that are directly and only listening to us. Mm-hmm. But this show is a show and is designed to do and be that. So it paints this big world like, oh, this is how genuine nerds are. Like this, yeah, motherfucker, when me and Chris talk about Final Fantasy VI, we get fucking deep. We get holy shit deep. But we don't stop every 5 minutes and look at you, the person who doesn't play games, and go, right? Esper's right? That's what that show does.
More than that, it's the fact that they decide it stopped being about nerd culture and making, little jokes and stuff like that. It started being, let's make fun of fucking nerds.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's like that one guy that's always doing math calculations, like it's some kind of funny thing, like, oh, well, this is how they are. They're neurotic, and only other nerds understand them. To everybody else, it just kind of seems weird, and let's make fun of that. They're not laughing with nerds; they're laughing at nerds.
Like, you can watch, again, I've only seen snippets. I haven't watched full. I cannot do it, folks. I cannot watch every episode, but I've seen like little 2, 3, 5, 6 minute clips, whatever. And it shows it's so fucking unrealistic how we nerds act in real life. Like they will take super extreme, only genuine smart or super intelligent or super nerdy people will understand this sentence or this word or this reference, and they cram it in every other sentence of a conversation. And then when they do, the laugh track pops up. If I'm talking to a coworker that doesn't know shit about games, I don't go, it's like that time in Shadow of the Colossus where it was that the weak point was actually on top of the head. Like, I don't fucking do that. I don't think anybody does that. I don't know any of my gaming friends that does shit like that. But that's what this show portrays.
Because, I mean, the whole point of making a reference like that is to have, the person understand what the fuck you're trying to explain.
Right.
Because he already doesn't understand the first thing, so you throw something else at him that they just definitely don't fucking understand.
Yeah. It either makes it more understood, or it's like, I know what you mean, I can relate to you. Not, what the fuck is this guy talking about? But that's not what the show portrays. It's, hey, super nerdy reference, crazy look from the other person, laugh track. The reason why I'm harping, the reason why I'm harping on this show in particular is because this show is super fucking popular. I think it's tapered off. I don't hear so much about it these days. I hear more references to it, even in my workplace, than I do actual, like, oh, have you seen the new episode of? But the fact that this has become so fucking popular, it's just another testament to shit becoming popular in the world. There are Bazinga shirts everywhere, and you hear people, it's like that episode of Big Bang, right? Like blah blah blah. And I get this maybe unjustified but maybe accurate depiction of, I'm out in the world, I bring up video games, and somebody looks at me and goes, "It's like that guy from Big Bang, right?" And I'm like, motherfucker, no. Bazinga, right? No, not Bazinga. Yeah. I don't even know what the fuck that means. You know more about that than me. You're a fucking Big Bang nerd.
Mm-hmm. You're fucking Big Bang nerd, motherfucker. Yeah. Yeah. And then you just turn around on them, throw them in a locker. Locker just randomly appears out of nowhere, and you just fling them into it.
Yeah. They have to wait till the jocks in lockers. What now? To kind of flip things around and talk from a more positive spin, I was talking about the workplace, and I didn't realize at the time how awesome it was, but I had a coworker who he played a few games. He's kind of one to here we go with the categorizing him, but he was basically like a Madden type gamer. You know, he played some Madden games, a couple other small things, but he didn't, you know, sit down and game for long periods of time. But he would have conversations with me about gaming stuff, like, oh, what'd you do last night? You know, and I'd be like, well, I played this game. And he'd be like, oh, well, tell me about it, you know, and we would actually have a conversation about the game, and he'd have no idea what I was talking about. So he was sitting there asking question after question, you know, showing genuine interest in it. And eventually it got to the point where months later, you know, during one conversation, I was like, my bad, I kind of got on a little rant there. And he's like, nah, it's totally good. He's like, I don't have time, you know, sit down and play games like that. So I'm just living vicariously through you at this point.
Yes. Yes. Awesome.
Yeah. It's like, tell me, synopsis the Old Man and the Sea for me real quick, you know, so I don't have to read it.
And this is a guy who, his dad owned a farm. So when he you know, worked with me in IT, when he went home, he helped his dad out on the farm, you know, and that's what he did for most of his time when he wasn't there. So he had very little gaming in his life at all. But he didn't have an issue with me gaming, you know. He did not talk to me because I was going to talk about games. He loved it.
Yeah.
His dad's probably all beating him up. He's a fucking nerd. He goes home. It's like, yeah, you can't look at your little computer no more, boy. Get that bale of hay.
That is an awesome person you ran into. That's rare. But that's awesome.
That sounds really cool.
You know, you say that, but I don't think it's actually that bad anymore. At my last job, well, actually it's the same job, but that guy left, another guy came in. It was kind of the same thing. The guy was more of a gamer. Like I got him to play Destiny with me for a little bit and some other stuff. But he wouldn't be able to play. He wouldn't have time, especially after he had a kid, you know. He lost a lot of his free time. But we'd sit there and have conversations about gaming, and he got more into gaming because of our conversations.
You know,
even though,
I'm sorry. Go ahead and finish. I'm sorry.
Nah, it's all good. It's just I think it's overall, when you get to the mature people, the mature ages, I think it's becoming less and less and less of an issue.
Well, that's because the younger generation has gotten to that mature point. We're now in our 30s and early 40s.
Well, no, I still think, you know, our generation is good, but the generation, you know, after us, the ones that are in their late teens, early 20s now, I think they're still going through the same kind of cycle. I think they're backtracking until they get older. And I mean, it's just building off the stereotypes you see in movies and stuff, right? You see it, you emulate it, and then you grow up and you realize that's stupid.
Yeah.
And things get better. We're going through a bit of a cycle, and it gets better every time. But I still hear kids that are going to do the same thing, you know? They're still going to do the same clicks in school. They're still going to do the same stuff.
Yeah.
It gets better, but it's still
They're
there.
Just fighting over. Now you got like the clique of kids that like went Alliance, and then you got the other clique of kids that went Horde, and they're all fighting in the middle of the hallways and shit.
Oh, what a...
It's like you've got the jocks who are, you know, picking on the nerds and taking pictures with their iPhone X2, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, I play PUBG. Oh, yeah, well, I play Fortnite. Man, fuck you, man. Oh, boy. Like, I do and don't want that world. I want to say, I'll admit, I realize that I'm the one doing the fucking tirades on this episode, and I apologize, but I think one of the reasons why I don't see things being so much better is because of the life that I grew, and you guys may have as well. We grew up in that age where the nerd was a thing, you know, whether you were or were not picked on. Like, that's not even the fucking issue. It's the fact that you were, as you said, segregated into that stereotype. And that has stuck with me for so long that every time that I see something pop up like that, whether it's every other day or every other month, I go, ha, see, it's still shit. And that's a personal fault of my own, but
You know,
I feel like that's a fight and a battle that I am nowhere near equipped to win, and I do try my best to fight it on my own. There was a time where a few months ago I did this like little social experiment on Facebook. Believe me, it went nowhere. It didn't garner anything at all. But this is right around the time of another school shooting.
Oh God!
And I went on Facebook Live for like an hour, and I was like, "Here I am." I am now mind you, this is Facebook that's really only limited to family and friends. I did like tag a local news station just in case. But I mean, I didn't expect it to be a world phenomenon. Just having my friends and family on Facebook, just the people that I'm acquainted with through Facebook, all like 700 something friends that I have. Here's an opportunity for anybody to get on here live. You don't even have to jump on. It's not fucking video. Just type. And ask me anything. Talk to me about anything. We have recently had another fucking school shooting, and again, through one of many fingers, be it 1 or fucking 40, one of those fingers is going, oh, and they played violent video games, or they played video games, period. They're a problem. So I jumped my happy ass on Facebook Live, and I said, here I am. A gamer that spends on the work days probably 5+ hours in gaming, and on my off days more than 15 probably. I video game all the fucking time. I have been gaming for 3 decades. Ask me anything.
Well, see, that kind of shit is the stuff that pisses me off. People that look at a singular issue as being the sole source of the fucking problem. That every single one of these shooters is unique. And every single one of them has some fucked up backstory.
Yeah.
I guarantee it. Every single one. When they do this kind of shit, it takes that kind of a person to go on those kind of things. It's not going to be, okay, well, he played Doom. Okay. Yeah. You know, this one thing, therefore, this happened. It's got to be a chain reaction of a multitude of different factors that gets a person in that fucking school with a gun.
The couple people that have approached me outside of that whole little Facebook thing was like, yeah, I didn't really say anything because I thought all that was pretty stupid. Like, this, of course, I don't think video games are a cause, much less a leading cause to school violence or any kind of violence. That's generally the idea I've gotten. As I fan my vision out to other coworkers, other family, other acquaintances, to tell you the truth, it really seems like most of the time people don't really care what you do behind closed doors. They don't care if you watch football or watch TV or go fucking bicycle riding or play video games or watch anime. People kind of really don't care what you do in your pastime. And that's not
one boss I had for a long time. Used to snub his nose at video games till he found one that he liked. Then he wouldn't stop talking to me about the shit.
Yeah, that happens.
Day after day. And it was like, and it wasn't just like, okay, well, you know, okay, man, yeah, that's a pretty cool game. That sounds really cool. And I was like, this is the best game ever, and I know all of the games, so I can definitively say that. And anything you say to counter that will be wrong. And I'm like, oh, Jesus.
That's another hard. Go ahead, Chris. I've talked enough. Jesus.
We always have that vocal minority, whether it's, you know, related to nerds or nerd culture or, you know, violence and video games, you know, the cause of these things. There's always that vocal minority that are going to say something stupid, but other people, and like you were saying, people look and go, no, that's stupid, but they don't say anything. So, you know, hence the vocal minority. They get a sort of bigger piece of the limelight. And I think, you know, that's kind of the downfall of the whole, you know, social media, internet, you know, the way it is. The internet's always had its scumbags. Social media always has its scumbags. People that don't even believe what they say. They just say things to stir shit up. And I mean, I don't think that will ever go away. You're always going to have assholes. But I think part of, and, you know, going back to how you were talking about, you see it and you kind of zoom in on it. I think, you know, just kind of taking a step back and going, who knows if that person is even saying it because they mean it, you know. I'm just going to move on with my life and not worry about it and look at the bigger picture, at all the positives instead of focusing on these fucking trolls, you know.
Well, I'm going to classify Hollywood as a whole as a troll then, because good God, they still can't get shit right. There are far more they fucked it up and got it wrong than there are, oh, that's genuine. Cool. You got it right. Of
course. Typically not. I mean, they're going to do what sells, you know. Something that's funny and comedic is going to sell more than, oh, hey, this is a normal guy, you know.
Yeah.
Stereotypes sell. Sex sells. Normal dudes just playing video games and being normal people, you know, doesn't sell. To non-gamers, anyway. You know. It's... Yeah. I try not to even give those people attention. I've seen some Big Bang Theory. I didn't really care for it, but I didn't hate it because of, you know, what it represented. I saw it's a TV show. They're trying to entertain. They're playing off, you know, stereotypes and these things that may or may not be anywhere remotely close to the truth. And I just leave it at that, you know. Is it doing us justice? No. Is it hurting us? I mean, is it? Who knows at this point?
I know it's a fucking uphill battle, and it's one that nobody told me to fight it. I'm not even really saying that I fight it like on some fucking resistance, you know, flag carrying, armband wearing level. It's more like I did ignore it for many, many years of my life, and the fact that I still see it perpetuated to this day, it aggravates me. It aggravates me because there are people out there that are like me, not in personal life. I mean in the hobbies that we share, the interests. There are gamers that, you know, spend 2, 3, 4 hours a day watching games and then jump over and watch 2, 3, 4 hours of anime and then fall asleep reading comic books. There are those types of people out there. And whether they are or are not being discriminated or looked down upon or treated like shit to this day, I feel like the shit that comes up and makes that feeling come up, I want to squash. And it doesn't happen. Doesn't seem like it ever happens. It seems like it just keeps happening. Hopefully, over time, this shit will go away and it'll be just like, on the one hand, you want gaming to be so accepted that it's in every household. You almost feel Nintendo-like with it. On the other side, you kind of don't want that either because you don't want the horrible shit everywhere, you know? I get that dual-edged sword. It's more the perception. I don't care about the substance of it. Right now, I'm like on a perception level. I just want everyone to be accepted for whatever the fuck they do, provided it's legal and, you know, hopefully morally fucking right. You know, if you're in your home every day murdering people, no, I don't agree with your lifestyle. But if you sit at home every day after work and even after on off days and you watch Netflix all day, hey, cool for you. You must have had a reason for wanting to do that. I mean, be it you tired or there's nothing else that interests you, you know?
Or maybe it's Netflix and chill, you know? Who knows?
Maybe.
You know, I think you're right in that, you know, things need to continue to get better. And kind of looking at, you know, it's hard to point out, you know, well, here's the battlefield we can fight on to, you know, get ourselves accepted more and more. It's kind of a ongoing thing that, you know, little by little, but there are bigger battles, you know, like one thing that I've been thinking about since something sparked in my mind earlier is esports. We're now in this whole thing where video games are being shown on channels like ESPN. Man, that's a huge thing. You know, that's when the people come out going, you know, these people aren't athletes, you know, they're sitting in basements, blah, blah, blah. You know, I think, you know, things like that are where we're going to get our big leaps and bounds going forward. I do think we're at a pretty good spot right now, but we could do with some more, we could do with less stereotypes, but honestly, I don't see this ever going away. It's part of the whole, I don't even know how, I was going to say trifecta, but I'm sure it's more than that. But you got the jocks, the cheerleaders, and the nerds. That's kind of your trifecta of the stereotypes in movies, especially dealing with the younger crowd. So I don't think it's ever going to go away, but it's going to not be a prevalent, actual, true, as a society, we see this as a thing. But in movies and TV, we're still going to see it because it's funny or it's something or another. Whether that's right or wrong, obviously we don't like that kind of presentation. But as long as it's limited to that media, that form, I'm cool with it. As long as at the end of the day, these same people that enjoy that show or enjoy watching movies that stereotype look at me and go, yeah, he's just a normal dude, There's nothing weird or different about him other than he likes video games, and I may or may not, If that's where we're at, if that's where we end up, cool, have your movies and TV. I don't really care. It's how I get treated by that same person, or by these groups of people.
Another interesting thing I thought about the other day, since you're bringing up the ESPN thing, I guess ESPN is more of I as well hope that becomes a big thing. I hope that that's something that draws people into, especially non-gamers, just to get an idea for just the competition and the air and the atmosphere surrounding competitive gaming. Mm-hmm. But when I see something like a bunch of people gathering around waiting for the release trailer for a new game, you know what else comes to mind? The NBA draft. When I sit around and see D&D players scratching heads over sheets, when they want to create a character for D&D, like what rogue abilities they want to pick. I see the NFL. What is that shit that they do? The where you just pick a bunch of people to play
the fantasy
football. Yeah. I see so many things that are similar in a variety of hobbies and lifestyles that I agree. I hope over time other people see that. I hope that society as a whole sees these similarities and it's all just accepted. I'm not in any way, shape, or form ever hoping or wanting gaming or anime or comics or any other big nerd thing to be above any other hobby. I don't care if somebody does or does not want to play games more than they want to watch a baseball game. That's not my point.
Fuck y'all.
Yeah, but we know Adam's the asshole here, so
that's right. Stop taking my shtick.
It's more of just general acceptance that I want to see. It's just like I want to see Hollywood have actual good video game movies. I want to see Hollywood treat gaming as just an acceptable thing, not something that deserves some big fucking negative spotlight. It doesn't even don't fucking put. If you can't do it right, don't put a spotlight on it at all. How about that? Any final thoughts from you two about nerd culture, positive, negative, anything at all on this subject?
I will say this: we've made some massive improvements over time. I like generally the direction it's going. There are good ways and bad things, but they're good problems to have. It's a good thing to be like, okay, well, how much do you game? What kind of games do you play? Those are good. Those are first world problems, as compared to the. Oh, I heard something that kind of sounded like it might have came from a video game. Time to spend the rest of the afternoon in his locker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Coming from those days, we've come. It's been a long road, but we have arrived. Overall, yeah, I think it's been a good. I'm happy with the progress. I will point out the little flaws and stuff that I see, but other than that, I have no problem watching people, take gamer cred for their fucking NES t-shirt when they fucking wouldn't be caught dead playing an NES back in its heyday.
Oh man.
That's fine. I can deal with that. I can deal with that as long as some 10-year-old out there isn't getting his shit kicked in for liking Mario Brothers.
Yeah. Yeah. And there are a lot of games out there today that I mean, this is kind of on the we're getting bogged down with shit, but with the acceptance of gaming and with so many companies trying to mass appeal, look at a game like Detroit. You don't really have to play that game. You're more like quick time pressing buttons. You're basically walking through a narrative story. It doesn't require a huge investment like Breath of the Wild or some speedrunning type thing. You don't have to be completely nerded out. But if you are a casual person that has a PlayStation 4 and you play that game, you're basically playing a story. A game like that is a bridge point for, oh, did you like that? Yeah, man, that story was something else, or that story was bad. I think it could have been told better, or that story was great. Wow, you can go, oh, well, I have this other class of gaming called an RPG. Check this out. And, there are many games out there that can be bridgeways.
Well, it goes the opposite. It goes across media, too. It's like, hey, did you like this game? Like Xenogears? Did you like Xenogears? Well, we have this book that it was, written off of.
Yeah.
You can go and take a look at that. It's Perfect Works. So, you want to go take a look at that? Yeah. You like Suikoden? We got the water margin here.
Yeah. If
you thought this story was great, well, here's what it's based on.
Did you like Persona 5? Here's a whole entire other interest group called anime that's all about that. Oh, I just thought the music was catchy. Hey man, there's plenty of music I can find just like that. Happens to be from games and from anime, but yeah. Oh yeah.
Gaming just happens to be the amalgam of every form of media.
Yeah.
So that's what makes it the best.
Chris, any final thoughts?
So my final thoughts are, everyone is a nerd in some way. Get over it.
This is true. This is true.
That's going to be on his tombstone. People going to walk by like, man, what a
everyone is a nerd
statement.
in their own way. Get over it. I'm half tempted to make that the topic title. Yeah, I mean, again, I know I've rambled a lot, and I know I've been on a fucking soapbox about this, but as the older I'm becoming and the more that I see it painted in a negative light, I can't. It's my passion. It's hard for me to look at it from an outside perspective because I'm not on the outside. I'm on the inside looking out, trying to look back in. So I have a very narrow perceptive appearance, or I have a very narrow perception of all this shit. And I hope it gets better. I hope it gets better than it is. And yeah, I guess I could concede to some degree it is better. I mean, I don't have any kids yet. I haven't had my kids come home and tell me what their life is like. And who knows what the fuck my kids are going to even be into.
My kid ran up to me yesterday and said, Daddy, I caught a yokai. And I was like, what the fuck is that? How do you know what a yokai is? She's like, it's on my DS. And I was like, oh my God.
And that's when you say, play real games, grow up.
Damn. Just shatter my 5-year-old's worldview right
That's
there.
That's great. I love it.
Yeah, that is awesome.
And, real quick, I do have kids, and I don't think I've ever heard of a single instance where gaming was in any way negative. So,
yeah.
I mean, we're just getting in with one into the high school age. So we'll see if things change with, those the lovely years of ages. But overall, I'll say I haven't seen any issue or heard of any issue.
I'll give a twofold plea. I'll give two different pleas to two different types of audiences out there to listen to this podcast.
Oh.
If you're a gamer, so you're on the inside of this whole entire conversation, I am not about to tell you how to live your life. The judgment shit that I said earlier still holds, though. I mean, you still need to bathe. That's kind of a hygiene thing. You still should
That's everybody. That's not just gamers.
He's like, keyed in on that. He's like, yeah, fucking smelly bastards.
If you're socially awkward, hey, man, it may not be just that you're socially awkward. Maybe you just don't get along with other people. I mean, sure.
That's me.
Maybe you've just been completely oppressed by people in your life, or you just realize that you do better on your own. Hey, man, there's lots of lone wolves out there. There are many different stereotypes, and if you are on the inside, you know what they all are. I would say do your best to put your best foot forward. Like, try to handle yourself in a manner that's not completely fucking demolishing gamers as a whole or anime people as a whole, etc., and so on and so forth. In any way, shape you can. Try to elevate gaming around you with the people you surround yourself with, be it family, friends, coworkers, whatever. You know, talk about the things you enjoy. Try to talk about the positive things. Just don't go fucking 10, because they're not going to understand the intricacies of Chrono Trigger just because you love that game more than anything else in the world. They've never even owned a fucking Nintendo. They don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
They will by the time I'm done.
But when you tell it in the story, format, or you tell them real life reasons why that game was so important to you in your life, that helps. Stuff like that helps. If you, for whatever reason, you're listening to this episode and you're on the outside, you're not a gamer or an anime fan or a comic book fan, again, email us and let us know why you even listen. Is it Adam's voice? Is that what it is? Is it Chris's no nonsense attitude? Like, what is it that drew you here? But if you're on the outside, try not to, this sounds like such a baby fucking elementary school thing, but don't judge books by their cover. Like, if somebody is that hardcore into gaming, that may or may not be the only thing in their life. I guarantee you it's not mine, and I guarantee you it's not these two gentlemen's either. And of the many gaming friends and acquaintances I have, it's not the center life of their either. It just so happens that that's the one thing that they love to do. Same thing for Netflix lovers, or football watchers, or hunters, or car aficionados. Insert your hobby here. If it's okay for somebody else to have any kind of other hobby, it should be okay for us to have ours. As a matter of fact, it shouldn't be an issue. It should be a complete non-fucking issue, and treat it that way. Let us fucking live and have our fun. That's what everybody wants to do. So I hope we all got everything off our chest. I feel like I did, but I know I didn't. I know tomorrow I'm going to be like, man, there's some more shit I thought about.
Real.
It's just
part 2 coming next month.
Sure. I mean, this is not like a fucking.
I'm down for whatever.
This is not This is so not a closed shut podcast, much less a closed shut case. You know. So if we ever decide to talk about it again, we totally can. What I would like from the audience is what your feedback is on nerd culture, period. Again, it could be comic, anime, nerd. I realize I revolve around those main three, but those usually are the main three that I see done so bad, with so much injustice in the world. Just in general, what are your thoughts and feelings, and what do you see the nerd atmosphere as? Do you feel that it's changed? Like how old are you in comparison to maybe other acquaintances in your life? How do they feel it is compared to the way you see it as? Just how do you feel about the whole subject, period? Anything else we talked about this episode? Any Steam games you may be interested in? Or hell, if you're just now catching up on E3 or GDQ stuff, any of that stuff, we'd love to hear your feedback. There are many ways you can get a hold of us. You can send us, you can find us on Facebook. Just look for End of Time Cast. Should take you right to our page, and you can send us a direct message. You can post on our wall. It may be how you found this episode right here. We have an email address. You can email us at endoftimecast@gmail.com. That's endoftimecast@gmail.com. No funny numbers in there. Just spell it as you heard it. We have a Twitter page as well. You can send us a Twitter tweet. You can twit us. We're still waiting to be twiddled, I promise you. Nobody has yet. Any way that you would like to get a hold of us, we'd love to hear any and all feedback from our audience. It's especially, I'll tell you this, me personally, it would do my heart good to hear any kind of feedback on this subject, period. But yeah, that's going to do it for this episode. This heavy-handed, heartfelt
heavy, heart-handed.
Yeah, the heavy heart episode.
Can you tell it's late?
It is, yeah. So that's going to do it for tonight. And until next time, I'm Michael.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Adam.
Good night, everybody.
Bitches.